Okay, ding dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
Aren't Cooey.
We're running out of time and we still don't know the rules.
Everything here is impossible, but it's also real.
Saving those children is how we all go home.
There's something else here now. Something new.
Your wife shouldn't have dug that hole, Jim.
And welcome all to the From Season 4 finale after show discussion. And here it is, folks. The Season 4 finale is upon us. The episode has been watched. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to see it already as well. And if you haven't, spoiler warnings right from the beginning. We will be diving heavily into it. But yeah. Here it is, the culmination of the entirety of Season 4 here for us to see, and definitely a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I mean, it's here. I've seen it, but like the chat is saying, some people are having trouble processing everything, and I am too. I mean, we have so many storylines that to process that some we got huge movement in, like the boy in white and the nature of who he is, huge movement. And then other storylines we didn't so much. So
No Julie, nowhere near enough Julie and Randall for me in the finale.
yeah. I see in the chat is divided. Some really, really love the finale. Others didn't like it so much. So this is gonna be not a finale unlike the other seasons where they were home runs for most everybody. I see that people are divided in the chat already.
And that is going to be an interesting aspect. Like you said, usually one thing that's been great about From is the first episode of a season and the last episode of a season are always usually total home runs. And coming off this finale, I feel like there's a lot to dissect here. I'm still kind of taking it all in. But in terms of having that home run feeling like some of the previous season finales have had, yeah, I can understand how this one might have not lived up to that exact kind of feeling. But I do feel it was a pretty good episode. I feel like they gave us some pretty interesting things. Definitely are holding a lot back for season 5. Yeah, overall, I feel like there were parts of this finale that I absolutely loved. And there were some parts that I wish were maybe done a little differently in terms of like character wise. Like I was really bummed we didn't really get any Julie and Randall for starters. I feel like their storyline at the beginning of season 4 was one of the better ones with her story walking. And it appears obviously they'll continue it in season 5. But I was hoping to get some kind of resolution within the seasonal story arc that Julie has had. So it was a little bit of a bummer not to get anything from her and Randall.
It was. And I'm thinking that it's gonna pick up, right? We saw that Julie made some heavy promises. So she had a beautiful moment with Ethan. I did like that moment. That moment was like so
Yes.
emotional. It was like so sad. Ethan did such an amazing job at um playing out that scene where he's terrified. He's like, what are we gonna do now? It's just me and you, and then soon you will be gone. And I felt so bad for him. He was crying. Polter Jim is back because I do believe that that
Right,
is Jim.
right. I
Yes,
think
I
so.
think that that's Jim.
I agree.
And I think that he showed himself, right? He was like throwing things around because he wanted to tell them, no, your mom is not dead. She's still alive, right?
Mm.
He was trying to comfort them in a way, um, terrifying still because they don't know that it's you, Poltergeist. So you're still freaking scaring
Older
them.
Jim.
But if you notice, when the dishes were being thrown, they were being thrown to the left and the children were to the right.
Not
So
at
it
them.
wasn't an entity that was throwing things at them to scare
Yeah.
them. It was throwing them on the other side to call their attention. So I do
Mm.
think it's Poltergeist.
I do agree. I feel like at first I wasn't 100% sold that it was Jim at the beginning of the season when we first saw the whole cabinet thing. I just wasn't 100% sold yet. But after this, the timing of it, right when Julie and Ethan are discussing, Tabitha potentially being dead, yeah, I just felt like, okay, now I'm starting to believe that this might actually really be this Polter Jim thing might actually be a thing. And again, it's not like outside of the realm of possibility. We know that when characters die here, some of them do get stuck. So yeah, I think it's Jim. I do think it's Jim. And yeah, Julie and Randall were out not only this episode, but the last few episodes. Yeah, I mean, her storyline kind of slowed down a little bit in the second half of the season. And that's a little bit of a bummer. It is. Again, I think that was, for me, I guess that was just one of the things I noticed right off the bat coming out of the finale, fresh, not really dissecting it deep or diving super deep into it at all, just kind of first kind of glance. That was very noticeable just for me that we got like no Julian Randall, or at least no story walking Julian Randall. But we did get that, like you said, we did get that good scene with her and Ethan, and that was a good scene. And I guess I want to ask you and chat, that scene that we saw from Julie and Ethan, do you think that is going to be the motivation? Do you think that would be enough for her to start experimenting with the story walking again? Will she be motivated after seeing Ethan like that, after knowing that he has this fear of being alone? Is that enough motivation for her to start doing it again?
I think that's enough motivation, but also after what Tabitha saw when she picked up the skull of her daughter, I think that even Tabitha herself will tell Julie, this is real. Like, I did have a daughter, and kind of bring it home that whatever she's experiencing is not a made believe thing, that this place is playing a trick on her, right? Because Tabitha didn't really get to address that with Julie. I'm thinking once she comes back and she tells her that Fatima turned into a monster, that they went through all this ordeal, Julie will be willing to believe that if her mother's visions are real, there was bones there, there was actually a child of hers,
Mhm.
then she's going to be willing to believe my abilities are real too. And so she'll be willing. She just needed maybe proof, and Tabitha's going to bring that proof.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I like that. I think, in terms of her seeing Ethan in that state, plus what you mentioned on top of the fact if she hears about this Fatima thing and everything else that happened in the finale, and then ripping up the tree and how massive a mistake that was. Yeah, I can totally see it being enough motivation for her to start diving into it again. Again, she has to. It's really just a matter of when she starts doing it again, because we know she still has much to do on her story walking journey in terms of showing up to when Jim dies and seeing the man in yellow there and all of the other things that she has maybe already affected in the past that we don't even know about yet. But yeah, I think we will definitely see her get back on the story walking wagon. But yeah, let us know what you guys think as well. Will Julie be motivated enough? I think the story walking was a waste of time. I mean, this season it didn't really amount to much. I suppose. I mean, you're definitely not 100% wrong in that assessment. We got some answers. I mean, I don't want to say it was like useless. We did get some answers through her story walking in terms of seeing some things like the man in yellow at the at the massacre, seeing him eating the organs and of the dead. So we get a little bit of stuff there, but in terms of like the overall arching plot, yeah, it didn't really play a major role in the season 4 narrative. And again, I think that's why I was a little disappointed that we didn't get some kind of conclusion with it in season 4 and set up the story walking storyline for season 5 even further. But yeah, this season I feel like it was a storyline that started off really really good and then kind of fizzled off as Julie became, she wasn't motivated anymore. She kind of gave up. She lost faith in the fact in the possibility that this would ever work, that this would ever change anything. So yeah, started off strong, then fizzled out a little bit.
Um, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say that it was a waste of time.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna go there. I don't think that it was wasted time. It was actually one of the most interesting parts of the season. I
totally.
just wish that we wouldn't have paused it with something as silly as all of the sudden I'm a rebellious teen that thinks that everything is lying to me, right? You live in an impossible place. So I don't know. Maybe if there was something that happened to her while she story walked where it was a very close call, I could understand her maybe taking a pause. But something as mundane as all of the sudden, I don't believe that I was able to do this when I've seen the men in yellow and they're talking about a men in
Yeah.
yellow, that's proof that what you're doing is real. Now, had they had a close call where she almost couldn't get away from the monsters, that would have been interesting.
Mhm,
That's reason to pause a little
mhm.
bit and strategize.
Yeah.
Um, but a waste of time, no. Patty, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Right here, we see, okay, so this is the beginning of the episode, and we see the crew that has been selected to go to the tree. We have random man that does nothing. He doesn't put the rope down. He doesn't move anything around. Right here, his hands are across like this. He stays like that the entire time. We have Christy, Bagda, Sarah, Acosta, Ellis, who finally does something, Randall, Boyd, and Patty.
Good old
Why is Patty there?
Penny Milked.
Mhm.
I, why is Patty there? Indeed, I don't know. She is. I mean, well, before we dive into the Patty thing, I just wanted to say I think you had a really good idea in terms of just the Julie thing, in terms of having something traumatic happen to her. That being maybe a better reason for her to kind of maybe give up on the story walking, not just kind of trying this bookmark thing once and failing, and that's it. And I think, we see at one point she's going to get that gnarly scratch on her face, that scar that we see her, on that version of her at the end of season 3. And I feel like that would have been like a perfect kind of traumatic moment that they maybe could have done this season. Show us how Julie got that scratch and have that be that close call that you were just talking about in terms of being the thing that does kind of take away all her motivation and kind of makes her afraid of it. I feel like that would have been a perfect setup to kill two birds with one stone. Give a reason as to why Julie stopped and give us as the audience the answer as to how she gets that scratch.
Exactly. It adds drama, right? It adds drama to the plot,
And
but it
reasoning.
also gives us, yes, exactly. I love the show. I love the show. However, they have always been so solid on reasoning behind every move they make. And part of that reasoning is because who is being the leader here and from town is somebody that is a well seasoned person in times of catastrophe. Boyd.
Yeah.
Boyd is used to working at times of war where everything is chaos and he's able to organize. So before they used to make these common sense solutions. Having Patty there, that's not a common sense solution. The solution of all of a sudden Julie is just a rebellious teenager. I understand. She believes that she is being fooled and she will not be fooled like the others. However, she has proof. Other people didn't have proof of this. Other people were hearing voices. She's able to do something different. So I would double check that. It just didn't make sense. Now, had
Mhm.
they have her be in danger, that's good enough for her to sit down and say, hey, my bookmark didn't work. Let me strategize a little bit more before I try going out there again, because I want to go out there when I have the answer of the bookmark. That's enough for me. You could have just said,
Yeah.
The bookmark wasn't that. She is researching what the bookmark is. And
Mhm.
she's off doing research. I don't need to see the research. That's totally fine. But to have wasted screen time of her just, you know, going around, fighting, smoking, just my opinion, just my personal opinion, you know.
No, no, absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. And I do agree. Again, sometimes, when it comes to a finale and you only have one episode left, especially an episode that isn't an extended episode. I know there were a lot of rumors coming into the finale that it was going to be 90 minutes long and all of this, but, clearly it wasn't. And it was just a regular length episode. And when you only have a regular length episode, I believe it was around 49 minutes screen time, actually. So very regular. That's very precious in a season finale. That's very precious real estate, I guess you could say. So yeah, you want to allocate it to the most important characters and the most important storylines. Honestly, the Patty scene in the van, while I love the POV of the way that shot with the camera right there in the van, it's such a good action shot. That whole scene probably could have been cut out and we wouldn't really have lost much narratively, and that would have added 2 to 3 minutes of screen time for other characters. But then again, you want to have some scenes like that in a finale. It's a good, thrilling, fun scene. It's a good action scene. And again, I love the fucking way it's shot. I love that POV of the camera right inside the van, like making us feel like we as the audience are in the van with them. But yeah, screen time in a finale is it's tough to decide what you're going to use. It's very limited. And I think they do the best that they can. And there's nothing wrong with certain storylines, liking certain storylines and not liking others. But yeah, overall, I think the finale had a lot of good things. There was a few things I didn't like, but I liked a lot more of it than I disliked it. That's for sure.
Of course, yes, of course. They're doing their best. That's all that you can ask. I respectfully disagree. And that is why it's good to give an honest opinion, because
Absolutely.
they do care for the family. They do care about our opinion. No, that doesn't mean that we are going to sway them either way, but they do care how the show is being received, just as any creator would care, right?
Every creator
About
does.
their work.
Yeah.
So honest opinions always help, because if they're
Yeah.
kind of doing something different or trying something different,
Yeah.
then they could see how we reacted towards those different little things they tried. This is all the people that we needed. We didn't need for
Yeah.
this to
It's
have
the only group.
drama.
Yeah.
These are the only people that we
That's it.
needed. And the answer could have been as simple as he must trust you in order for you to be on the mission. And
Yeah.
he only trusts these people on the screen.
Yeah.
That's all the people that we needed. The two other random people we
Mhm.
didn't need. And it could have been something as simple as he doesn't trust you. This is something that is of high importance. You're not trusted. It's going to be his inner circle. That's enough for me. Now with Patty, I respectfully disagree. It was unnecessary.
No, with Patty, it was
I thought that I
completely
was the only
unnecessary.
one,
Yeah.
but I'm seeing in the chat people are saying they found it annoying.
Mhm.
There is enough drama. The fact that it was sunlight and
Yeah.
it turned to darkness and
Yeah.
there was lightning, the tree was pulled down, there
Yeah.
was monsters coming out.
Yeah.
That is enough drama for me. I don't
Yeah. No,
need
we don't
Patty
need Patty
screaming and
freaking out. Yeah.
taking off so much screen time. She
Yeah.
literally didn't want to get in the van.
I
He had
know.
to like coerce her to get into the van twice.
Yeah.
Twice. I would have left her behind.
Yeah.
Acosta was making the most sense by saying, tell her to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And that's how we all felt. There was enough drama. Just
Yeah.
them driving in the car. And if you show us a shot of the car kind of driving in the wilderness, that's enough for me. I
Yeah.
did not need Patty screaming or
No.
having so much dialogue or wanting to kill herself and then, pulling the gun and
Pulling
doing
the
all of this stuff.
gun.
This is why you don't take Patty.
Yeah.
You do
Yeah.
not take Patty because she's not mentally strong.
Yeah.
So if Boyd would have just taken the inner circle, people that are mentally strong enough to survive this, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Boyd has been a leader at time at work. He wasn't making these choices.
No, no.
Otherwise, he wouldn't have survived, the war. But he
Long.
did. So
Yeah.
Patty got a lot of screen time that could have been used. You know where I would have used those minutes? Having Ellis say goodbye to her half
Uh,
monster Fatima.
uh-huh.
He just kind of gets to say goodbye very briefly.
Yeah.
Take away the time from Patty, cut Patty out, give
Yeah.
Ellis 5 seconds to hold Fatima's hand before he has to say goodbye. That's enough for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. You get that kind of raw, visceral goodbye that you really, really feel on screen when you see these two characters, like to the point where they have to be pulled away from each other, Ophelia style, even. No, I would have loved a scene like that, absolutely. And yeah, and that's why I say, the Patty scene in and of itself, that whole scene could have been cut out of the entire episode, and narratively, we wouldn't have lost anything. So it is screen time that could have been cut out, absolutely. But yeah, I think, and then the ensuing kind of drama that happened after that, like you said, is the perfect reason why you don't want to bring Patty on a mission like this. Grabbing the gun, trying to off herself, like that's absolutely insane. What are you doing? So yeah, definitely never should have brought her. And I think, yeah, good old Patty Melt could have been cut out of the whole episode, and we would not have lost anything. And if anything, we would have maybe gained something. Like you said, maybe more time with Fatima or more time with Julie and Randall. But yeah, someone said in the chat that it felt rushed, and it did feel a little bit like that towards the second half of the episode. The first half of the episode felt, pretty slow paced, and started off kind of how I expected it to, with them down in the cave, trying to get the bones, trying to get out. We knew the ladder was going to snap after Sophia's sabotage, so we kind of had a feeling that was going to be coming, and they were going to have to find some other way out of the cave, which is exactly what happened. But I feel like the first half of the episode was at least paced pretty good. The second half of the episode is when the pacing started to feel a little bit more jarring, where it just felt like we were skipping from scene to scene without like super smooth transition shots. But that's just something I noticed. But yeah, it was interesting. It was an interesting choice of screen time. Again, it's tough. It's last episode. You want to make sure you are able to tell the story that you want to tell. So you have to give these certain characters amount of screen time. The Jades, the Tabithas, the important ones. But it's tough, to decide what to put on screen in a final episode. But yeah, I agree. I think, like I said, the whole Patty scene could have been cut out, definitely. Yeah.
I mean, they're known for common sense. That's the great thing about the show. It is an immersive experience because ever since season 1, we get to see that the skills that they have really come into play. Why? Tell me why. Bagda here and Patty are the ones that are tasked with putting down the ladder. It doesn't work either way, but still. And this man, all he does, I watched him. All this man does is stand there. Sometimes
Yeah.
he crosses his arms, sometimes his arms are not crossed, but that's all he does. He just looks on, does absolutely nothing. I mean, it just like, why did you take him then? Why do you take this guy if you're going to have Bagda and Patty Mel doing the work that should be done by others? There's Randall. He could have done that. There's so many other people in the inner circle. These two were unnecessary. And not only unnecessary, but I think hurtful. I think hurtful to the finale. If I'm being honest, just my personal opinion, having Patty there hurt the finale because we spent so much time on this nonsense of hers. At this point, whatever happens, a lot of people are saying maybe they're setting her up to get the town to go against Boyd.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, Boyd deserves it. I love my Boyd. I love that man. I love Boyd. I like him. But whatever happens with Patty, at this point, he deserves it because he didn't make a common sense choice when he chose Patty to be the person helping them. She is fragile. She just went through a horrifying experience. You don't take her out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree. I don't think when you're kind of planning a mission like this, you want to be you would probably want to have as small a group as possible. I mean, yes, you want to get enough people out there where you can get this tree down, but you don't want any redundancies. The more people just means more problems could go wrong, more causes for a mistake, a higher probability a mistake is going to happen the more people you add to a situation, especially a high stress situation like this. So no, I agree. I think Patty and Bacter and half of them probably could have stayed at home. Like you said, that one shot we saw earlier, that little core group, that's all you kind of really needed out there. And maybe that would have helped later on with, you know, having the whole Patty scene. But I get it. You know, they wanted to show the chaosness of it. They wanted to show how crazy it was. This, you know, how far this place can get to people. But like you said, this was the finale. There was kind of drama all over the place. So it wasn't really needed. It's like this, you know, this many seasons into the show, we know how dangerous Trumpville is. We know the kind of effect it can have on people. So seeing people freak out, it doesn't have the same effect as it did in the beginning seasons, where it's like, okay, this is what this place does to this people. Now we know that. So seeing it it was something that could have been cut out. But yeah.
I really like this comment here. So we now see that Clara, not only is she in cahoots with the man in yellow, but she is kind of, you know, Elgin wanted to get out the door and she stepped right in without being asked. She's an enforcer now. She's full on with the dark forces, this Clara. And I like this comment because a lot of people are giving Patty the benefit of the doubt because they're saying maybe they're setting her up to be the person that has some weight. She has no weight. We haven't seen this woman. She is not in the storyline. She appeared out of nowhere, out of thin air. You know who we have seen around everybody? Somebody that the town knows and loves and trusts? Clara. The town has known Clara for a long time. The town, just like us, trusted Clara. Now that Clara is a sellout, if they want dissent from Boyd, Clara could easily be the person to cause that dissent, to say, well, you know, this is what happened when they went over there. He's putting people in danger. And Clara is somebody that you would trust. She has been in the town longer than the Matthews. So if they need dissent, there is Clara. She's like perfect for the role now that you've increased, you know, her role in the whole storyline. Use Clara. Don't give us another Patty moment. There was nothing, and this is why I am so picking on this Patty wasted screen time. There was not a moment in between Ellis and Fatima saying goodbye other than remember me how I was.
Yeah.
He could have had 2 seconds to give her a hug, to hold her hand, to say goodbye, to be ripped apart from her in an embrace. Those 2 seconds we could have used by cutting Patty. But instead, it was very anticlimactic. I can't pronounce it.
Mhm.
Ellis saying goodbye to Fatima, I expected that to be massively devastating. And it wasn't. It really wasn't because it happened so quickly that you didn't really get to see this massive devastation between the two or between Ellis. We didn't get a close up of Ellis's face as he's seeing that she really is turning into a monster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when you have these emotional goodbyes, these emotional scenes in general, sometimes you want to elicit that kind of raw emotion, that raw, visceral emotional reaction from, you know, the audience when they see the scene. So I definitely understand maybe having like an extra split second there, you know, to spend, just have a little tender moment between Ellis and Fatima right before she kind of turns in front of him actually, because it was interesting how she turns around and then turns. So he never actually saw her turn. I mean, he saw the back of her head. I thought that, you know, the scene could have been like super, way more impactful if they did have that last kind of tender moment where they're face to face. And just as she starts to step back, he actually gets to see her turn into a monster right in front of him. And then she turns around. I think that would have made the scene way more impactful. And sometimes having that extra split second can really help. And in terms of having that raw reaction, that visceral reaction, we talked a little bit about this before the stream, but I feel like we did have one example in this episode that of a character that really kind of did, you know, elicit that pretty raw, deep, visceral emotional reaction. And I was actually very pleasantly surprised to see that scene when it happened. And that was the scene between Christy and Marielle. When Christy finally gets back to the clinic and sees what happened to Marielle, and R.I.P. Marielle, killed by Smiley in a very interesting fashion, gutted. But I thought the payoff for that scene was incredibly well done. I feel like it was some of the best acting reaction where we see Christy just kind of in there. Not her initial reaction to finding Marielle, which was, nice. It was the next reaction when we see Boyd walk in. And he walks in and he sees that she is still just sitting there holding her. She's been holding her all night, just not moving. And right here, I think we get some really good acting from Christy where we see just that raw, visceral human reaction of somebody losing someone that's like super close to them. Even though Christy and Marielle didn't really have a whole lot of like chemistry on screen, I feel like most of the time, I feel like in this scene, Christy at least kind of portrayed it in a sense where it did kind of feel like raw emotion with her just screaming and Boyd kind of holding on to her like that. So I must say, just for me, this was some of the better acting I've seen from Christy on the show.
I mean, this scene was amazing. The actress that plays Christy just played out this compelling wailing of just this deep devastation and grief at the love of her life. The kiss was awkward. A lot of people said everything but the kiss, it still was awkward. But other than the kiss, the way that she holds her, she's locked herself in there with the dead body of her beloved, and she's wailing. And when Boyd enters, she's stuttering. Like I like she doesn't even know how to begin to process.
Yeah, that's when it gets good.
But how she's holding her, how she says, I'm going to go down with her to the church. With her, she's gone. There is no her anymore. But the way that she is so devastated by the grief that she wants to accompany the body. So this is sort of the emotional devastation that I expected from Tabitha towards Jim. When you're in love with somebody, it doesn't matter. They're covered in blood. They're like destroyed. They're torn apart. You hold them.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really glad to see that Christy was holding Mariel, because that is, a natural reaction. It doesn't matter how messed up they are. We didn't see that really from Tabitha towards Jim. She was kind of just holding his hand and then said, we're going to be all right, Jim. We're going to be all right. Thank you. You were my person. And then goodbye, Jim. But she was wailing. The wailing was like, oh my God, you could really feel her pain. It was amazing. She really won me over with how she played the devastation of seeing Mariel go. I still wish that Mariel wouldn't have gone. I mean, we lost Elgin and Mariel.
Yeah.
They were added after the fact. They came in the bus. They were added after the fact. I don't know that it's
not
enough.
Not like main characters. Totally agree.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And yeah, as Real Cinema Therapy says, it was similar to that kind of raw emotion Kenny had when he found his father dead in the basement, where he doesn't matter how bloody and how messy he is, he walks right up to him, falls to his knees, and just hugs him and holds him with that kind of just raw emotion pouring out of him. And again, I think this was an incredibly well kind of conceived scene. I love how when Boyd, like you said, Boyd comes in the next morning and she's just there. She's been holding her all night, just devastated. And it's not until Boyd kind of comes up to her and she kind of feels that kind of familial person next to her, where she kind of becomes even more vulnerable and she lets even more of it out. As Boyd's kind of telling her, it's okay. And she's grabbing onto Boyd and Marielle at the same time. And just letting out such a raw scream. Like that scream was so good from Christy. I really feel like this was some of her best acting on the entire show. This just raw emotion. This is that kind of visceral response you want to see when someone loses somebody that important to them.
Yeah, and this all took place during the day, Jeremy. There has not been a night. There is no other night. There is no holding her all night. That's the crazy part. Sophia took the talismans. They haven't even had a nighttime.
That's right. It was just
They're in for a bad surprise. Yeah, they're in for a bad night.
Yeah.
They have no idea what
Oh, yeah.
awaits them. They haven't even gotten a chance to sleep, nothing. This was all, it took place within a couple of hours during the day. The sun
Hours.
came back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't even gotten a chance to see their front door and that the talisman is missing.
I hope when season 5 does come around, hopefully probably some point towards the end of 2027, if they're starting filming soon, which they probably should be. I imagine they're going to want to get filming started and well into filming before winter gets in Nova Scotia, because then it's really tough for them to film up there. But yeah, one thing I hope went up literally right where we left off, just like how season 4 picked up right where season 3 left off. That is what I would like to see when we eventually get to season 5. But yeah, such a raw, visceral reaction for Christy here. Again, this was a really good performance from all involved.
And then Boyd starts crying. So he's saying, I know, I know. But if you see, if
He
you
knows.
notice, there's a big tear that falls from his eye because he starts crying too. He knows what it's like. We haven't seen it, but I'm guessing he knows what it's like to hold the dead body of the person that you love. He says, I know, because he does know. He actually knows. A lot of people can tell you, I understand your suffering or I understand your pain. He actually knows what she's going through in the moment. This was amazing.
Yeah.
So sad.
Yeah. Sad scene. And again, definitely an interesting send off for Marielle. RIP to Marielle. But yeah.
Hmm.
And
For
someone
Mariel, I liked her. I would trade a Mariel for somebody else. I liked Mariel. She
yeah.
was actually, she had a storyline left. She said she could hear the voices of the people that died there. We could use that.
And that's what we were, we even talked about that when we saw Marielle was starting to kind of hear these voices more and more, and she seemed to be getting invested in helping them, to the point when she hears about the plan for the bones, she says, we're going to help them get those bones. And I always figured Marielle would maybe have that kind of storyline where she would kind of take it on herself to try and free these souls along with saving the children, but that certainly got cut very short. Very short indeed. But yeah. Farewell to Marielle. Farewell. Is Fatima going to eat someone? And I guess that, that is the question. Now that Fatima is like full on going monster mode, is she going to be able to retain any of her humanity? Is the real question, because we see her turning into a monster and holding the monsters off, which at least suggests in that moment that she was still Fatima. Even though she turned into a monster, she was still, who she was. So I guess, how long is that going to last? How long will Fatima be able to suppress the monster side? Will she be able to be a quote unquote good monster, for lack of better terms? I guess is going to be one thing to see heading into season 5. Because I definitely get the feeling she's not going to die here. Just a hunch. I get the feeling she's going to survive this encounter with the other monsters. I'll be very surprised if she dies. But and if she doesn't, that's what I want to see. What is she going to look like going forward? Is she going to be a human that can just turn into a monster and control herself? Or is she going to slowly start to lose control to this thing inside of her, like the other monsters seemingly did?
Yeah. I mean, something comes to mind. Last time that she tapped into Smiley, the frequency that is Smiley, she said she started to feel this cold inside. And I'm wondering if it's every time she taps into this, she dies a little bit more inside to the point where she eventually will be full on monster.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that this was foreshadowing for what would happen to the pair, Ellis and Fatima. They are outside the door and they're crying because they're hearing Christy wail and cry for Mariel. And Ellis is holding her because even sitting down, these two are so together that even sitting down, he always has a hand on her. He's always holding her. And I thought this is foreshadowing for what's eventually going to happen to these two. They're watching lovers be torn apart and it's going to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even if it wasn't a goodbye, let's say that Fatima survives a tussle with the monsters. She's a brand new newborn monster, okay?
Yep.
These are all of the monsters in the cave against her.
Mhm.
Even if she survives a tussle that they, fight her and she fights them back, they still should have given Ellis like a 1 second to hold her hand to say goodbye, even if it's not goodbye forever. This is the first time ever that he has
Yeah,
seen her make those noises. He hasn't seen that
definitely.
before. So
Yeah,
for him, it's still a shock. He still,
yeah.
deserved a second or two to make sure that she was okay. You know how he is. He doesn't let her go anywhere without him. But I thought this is foreshadowing. Poor Fatima. She's a monster.
Mm. No, yeah, I 100% agree. Regardless of whether she, survives this encounter or doesn't, that farewell with Ellis, should have been warranted either way. Absolutely. Especially, you're ending off on a cliffhanger like that. Regardless of where it goes, it would have been nice to have that tender moment. But then, of course, we see all hell starts breaking loose. The lightning starts coming right out of the hole where the faraway tree was pulled out, which we had a feeling was going to be the case when we saw the trailer. It did look like the lightning was coming from the ground, shooting up into the sky. And here we see this chaos happening. And as cool as this scene was, and as much as it must have cost VFX wise, I wonder what the next step of it's going to be, because I get the feeling Red Lightning in the Sky is only going to be step one of whatever else is coming. The true consequence, the real cost of its roots. I get the feeling they're only beginning to suffer the consequences, and this Red Lightning is only phase one.
Yeah. So I'm guessing we'll go in chronological order because we kind of skipped over another amazing moment with Jade. We get this beautiful moment, not a lot of dialogue, but
Oh yeah,
Jade looks at
it's great.
Tabitha and says, I'm glad
Yes,
it was you. If I
yes,
had to do all of these lifetimes, I'm glad it was you. That not a lot of dialogue, but still a beautiful moment between the two that I have been waiting for this for an acknowledgement of the
yeah.
lifetimes together.
Mhm. Yeah, it was a good scene, because like David Alpay said in that interview a little while back, when he got these memories back, when he finally figured out who he really was and then how he's been reincarnated all these times, it wasn't just memories he was getting back. The actor himself confirmed it was emotions that he was getting back, feelings like the love the original Jade had for the original Tabitha. All of it came swirling back. So when Jade sees Tabitha at the beginning of season four, the actor kind of describes it as clocking her and not seeing a friend, but seeing someone that that he's been in love with, countless times over the years. So yeah, this was an interesting kind of scene where you see, I think Tabitha and Jade get closer, at least than they ever have been at any point in the show. They're in a really tough spot. They're not sure if they're going to make it. And yeah, Jade kind of just expresses his feelings there real quick that if he had to spend eternity with anyone, he's glad it's Tabitha.
And it was very respectful, which is the way that I expect the
Respect.
love story to play out.
Yeah.
Um, the love story, they have feelings that come from centuries of being reincarnated and doing lifetimes over and over with each other. But it is a respectful love where it wasn't too much. It was just, I'm glad it was you if I had to do centuries with anybody, which was beautiful. Why they're coming from Jade. These beautiful words are coming from Jade. He's handsome, right? It's not gonna hurt. But I thought, I was like, really, Jade? You're glad it was her? She's not helpful at all, this woman. You probably could have, if it was somebody else, it wouldn't have been centuries. You could have like knocked this out in a dozen reincarnations. You're glad it was Tabby? Tabby doesn't help. And when Jade says, I lied, the bones don't actually scare the monsters. I was like, oh my God, plot twist.
Yeah.
Jade was lying because he wanted to get this done.
Yeah. Definitely a bit of a twist. All right. Let me get through these few real quick. We have 34 Songstress, who has been a member for 2 months. Thank you so much for being a member, 34 Songstress. Very much appreciate it. The finale was a letdown. Henry needs to go in the box, and Elgin and Marielle's deaths were expected. But I did love when Smiley called Fatima mother. Yeah, hi mother, hi mom. That was super creepy. And it was a good scene. I think a lot of us were waiting for that scene when Smiley finally kind of walks up to Fatima and's like, "Hi, mom," and we got it. We finally got the scene, and it definitely lived up to the hype. I 100% agree with you. And we also have 10 from 34 Songstress as well. Jeremy and PM, I love your breakdowns of the episodes. Wow, thank you so much, guys. We love discussing these shows with you guys. We really do. I love getting into the weeds with PM and everybody in the chat. You guys always have some of the best freaking ideas. So thank you. We love breaking these stuff down with you. What did you both think of the ending when you saw the boy in white and the man in yellow? I think, if nothing else, it does start to confirm some kind of pretty heavy fan theories that we have been kind of discussing for a while, that the fandom has been very familiar with each other, just based on the familiarity in the dialogue alone, where the first thing the man in yellow sees is, "Look at you, all grown up." So the man in yellow knows that the boy in white was once just a boy. Or seemingly a boy. So I loved this scene. I feel like it gave us so much more context in terms of what sides we're dealing with, who's on what side, clear lines being drawn heading into season 5, but also giving us that answer of there is a deep familiarity between the man in yellow and the boy in white. These two people know each other well.
Yes. Thank you so much, 34 Songtrust. Not only that, but what was very exciting is we got major progress on the theory. This is a game.
Yeah.
This is a game.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
most important line in the entire finale to me personally is when the boy in white says, "You are not going to win this time."
Yeah.
That means that there has been many other times that
Yeah.
this is in fact a game. This is in fact a battle between, the two entities.
Mhm.
We can now count on the fact that the boy in white is not bad. The boy in white is opposite. Sophia is bad. We have seen her
Mhm.
do bad things to the humans. So now I can count on the fact that the boy in white is good. He's
Mhm.
not a bad guy, right?
Yeah.
And the man in yellow says, "I've always admired your optimism,"
Yeah.
which means that the boy in white always has believed maybe this time I'll win.
Yeah.
From what I gather, it seems that Sophia, the entity in yellow, has always won. Always. But the
Absolutely.
boy in white believes this time you're not going to win. And maybe he only needs one win to be able to break the cycle. And
Absolutely.
he's kept his optimism because Sophia says, "I've always admired your optimism," and
Mhm.
notices how big he is. So they both are saying there's something changing. You're bigger. We've been doing this for centuries. You were not this big. Now you're big. This is different. Boy and white, it feels like he has a fighting chance. And number two, they also say, the boy in white says they have the bones. So that's kind of a point for his side. But Sophia says, but they don't have the tree anymore. That means that I believe in season 5, the tree was supposed to take them to the lighthouse. They don't have that tree anymore. They're going to have to go through the terrain to get to the lighthouse. And that's not going to be an easy task. Nobody knows where the lighthouse is. And the forest apparently is vast and big. You couldn't make it back to town when you would go over to Cannibal Village, which means that if they're going to try to find the lighthouse by just navigating the terrain, it's going to take them all season. Now
They're
they
gonna
don't have the
they're
tree.
going to help.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah. I mean, it seems like, yeah, we're getting some interesting things confirmed. And interesting things confirmed. This chess match. But if the boy in white wins, that means the game's over. So yeah, the boy in white does only need one win, because then there is no more game. The boy in white winning means saving the children, which I think also means Fromville's probably not even going to be standing anymore, based on where this thing's going to go. I do get the feeling that once they all get out, Fromville might not even be around. So I do think the boy in white gets one win, and that does mean that this whole thing is over. There is no more game. There's no more cycles. There's no more you win, I win. That's it. The man in yellow wins, or it ends. I feel like those are the only two options at this point. And yeah, the boy in white's been suffering L after L after L after L for centuries now. He's ready for a win. He's ready for a W for sure. Absolutely.
But you know what? He doesn't, there must be a rule of sorts. So we were talking a little bit about this, but this is the oldest story that has been ever told by humanity. The forces of good for humanity and the forces of evil, those that want to break the humans and those that want to help the humans. Oftentimes, oftentimes in the Bible and mythology and people's folk tales from their countries, like in my country, oftentimes the deity that plays the good side will not intervene, which I find really interesting. So it's not a game where things are fair, like you intervene and I intervene. No. Usually the good entity doesn't intervene. They kind of just allow the bad entity, the negative forces, mess with the humans. They let them just run rampant and put them through pain, troubles, tribulation, and the good entity just watches over them. So that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting because the boy in white sees that Sophia is throwing the talismans and he doesn't do anything. Look, he just stares. He could have grabbed that bag and said, "No, you're not. I'm stealing the talismans if it's an equal sort of messing with things." But no, he just lets Sophia do whatever she's going to do, which tells me for some reason, this is also a story where the positive entity allows for suffering and just counts on the human spirit to be what makes them triumphant.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, that could be the case. That could be the case where maybe there's some things that he can intervene on and some things that he can't or just won't intervene on, maybe. So yeah, maybe that's why he doesn't take the talismans back. And Ram brings up a good kind of, something that did kind of occur to me as well when I was watching it, because it is kind of like super close now. That scene killed the episode for me. It was too much like watching Lost. It didn't kill the episode for me, like in that sense. Like it was definitely very, very similar to Lost. It reminded me so much of Lost, but it didn't kill the episode for me anyway. Even if there is a similarity there in terms of these two characters playing this century-old game, just like Jacob and the Man in Black were on Lost. There are a lot of similarities there, but I get the feeling we're going to get two very different outcomes at the end of the day when it comes to From and Lost. So yeah, while they were very similar, for me, it didn't ruin the episode. I noticed it, but I'm definitely confident or hoping that we're going to get a much different ending at the end of the day.
You know, this comparison to Lost, the creator themselves, they don't really like it. Okay, the person that actually created the show, and I think I understand why. Like I said, sometimes we think of Lost and we're like, oh, this is equal to Lost. Lost got all of its inspiration. Lost is not an original story. It's a good story, but it's not original. The archetype of a positive entity and a negative entity, like I said, it is the oldest story that we humans have ever told. Since the beginning of time, we told forces in the universe that would bring the suffering and forces in the universe that would help us through. So it was a way for us to explain when things that were good happened to us and when things that were bad happened, right? So Lost is not an original story. It's not that it's similar to Lost, it's that it's similar to a lot of the stories where there is a positive force that wants humanity to persevere and a negative force that wants to break humanity. That was a storyline way before Lost. So
Yeah.
it's not
Oh, yeah.
this is similar to Lost. It is both of them have that in common. They have in common that they're telling the story of two entities that are influencing humanity.
Mhm. Yeah, they are. They are. It's two very similar stories. That is a very similar concept of good versus evil. This is the oldest story ever told. At the end of the day, good versus evil. But yeah, at the end of the day, when people are watching From and they see these aspects of the story, really, the only thing they can compare it to are things that they have seen in the past that are similar to it. And I think that's where the Lost kind of similarity comes from, because Lost, was on not too long ago, and you see the similarities and you think, okay, that's kind of similar. But I think that's, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having some similarities between Lost and From. I think at the end of the day, at their core, they're two very different stories, fundamentally different stories. But yeah, they're going to have similar aspects from time to time, because these concepts have been around since the beginning of time, since the beginning of storytelling. There has been good versus evil, and like you said, the struggle to try and get control or use humanity or pieces on the board. This eternal game. It's not a new concept by any means, but I think that's just the only reason why people might compare it to Lost, because people have seen Lost and they see those themes there as well. Is all. But I think there's going to be very different stories at the end of the day. I do think they're going to have two very different endings. I feel like they have to. They're fundamentally different stories, Lost and From. There are some parallels and some similar themes, but in terms of like the actual narrative, Lost and From are two totally different stories.
Completely different stories. And I was rewatching an interview with Emmanuel,
Mhm.
and the creator of From. And Eman was talking about how the creator of From doesn't look too kindly on the comparison of this is just Lost retold.
Yeah, it's
Because
not.
you're saying I'm copying my friend. I have a friend that also makes content, and you're just copying your friend. You're making like a different version of a video or a story that your friend made. No, it's like, with all due respect, Lost is not original. Was it interesting? Yes, but it's not an original story. I mean, when you read about Greek mythology, you have scenes like these. There is always a demon and Satan. There is always good versus evil. They always have these encounters, and the encounters usually are cheeky, where they're talking to each other in a playful manner, because after all, it's a game. So you tend to see this playfulness about both entities. They don't talk to each other in an aggressive manner. That's what's interesting.
Very familiar.
Usually the two entities are familiar,
Yeah.
they are playful with each other, and they I mean, they have been spending centuries with each other. So it's almost like a friendship, a dark, twisted friendship.
Frenemies. They're total
Yes.
frenemies.
Yes.
The boy in white and man in yellow are total
Yes.
frenemies. It did. It kind of had that vibe, didn't it? Like these were two very old, very ancient beings that were very familiar with each other, that have seen countless cycles together, and that have always been fighting for opposite sides. Yet at the end of the day, they acknowledge each other. They acknowledge what the other is trying to accomplish, and they continue to fight against each other. And even the man in yellow recognizes that in the boy in white, and is like, okay, hey, if nothing else, I have to admire your perseverance. Your optimism is an admirable quality. It must not be easy to continuously be optimistic after centuries of just losing every single time, over and over and over again, and still have hope. So yeah, I thought this was a really great scene and gave us a lot of context in terms of their relationship, and yeah, how familiar they are with each other, to the point where they are like frenemies.
I mean, he gives him a compliment. He
Hmm.
says, he comments on his looks, first of all, like, oh, look at you, all grown up, almost like with a smile of, it's nice to see this different
Hmm.
version of you. And
Hmm.
then, as Sophia is throwing the talismans, right, devastating his game, she's smiling at him and says, I always admired your optimism. So she gives him a compliment of, I like the spirit. I like that you bring a spirit to the game where you refuse to give up. She likes it. So it is very friendly, very frenemies
Yeah.
sort of thing. But I thought it was interesting. This was the most interesting and important scene to me, because
Hmm.
it confirms this is a game. Boy and
Hmm.
White is not intervening as much as Sophia, and it
Yeah.
is allowing because Boy and White could have snatched that bag. I was like, Boy and White, snatch it. It's right there. But he just looks at it and he's like, it is what it is. And he still feels that they have a fighting chance.
Still
He
confident.
says, the tree is gone. He's like, still, I think you're gonna lose this one.
Hmm. Yeah, I like it. I like the eternal opt next, not next going, from here. You have already been defeated is the kind of vibe I'm getting from the Boy in White. You've already lost. You just don't know it yet. And I think he's right. I think this is going to finally be that right cycle that does break everything. But yeah, we got so much more context for these two characters in this scene, the relationship between them, the familiarity, how long this has been going on, how, the game of it, and how the Boy in White only needs to win once to end the game. But yeah.
And it's a good deal. I mean, if that's the game that they're playing and you play dirty, because let's be honest, Sophia is playing dirty. The Boy in White, he doesn't infiltrate the town. He doesn't pretend to be a human. He kind of
Mhm.
just stays on the outskirts, doesn't do much, tries to help them very little. Sophia plays dirty, but it's a good game. If all you have to do is win once, that's not that bad. I would have taken that bargain for sure.
I mean, when you look at that, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things like that, when you have countless amounts of tries, yeah, all you got to do is get one win. I mean, even if it takes you centuries, all you got to do is get one. But thank you so much, 31st Songstress. Very, very much appreciated. Oh, and we got one more from Songstress as well for 2. Why was the Golem introduced into the storyline? And again, I think when the Golem first popped up, the big question was, is this thing really going to come to life? Or is it going to be just some kind of symbolic kind of representation of Fatima's strength? And I think that's what it ended up being. I think it ended up being more of like a totem or of sorts for Fatima, something for her to kind of channel this ability she has, this connection she has with with Smiley. Because we hear Fatima saying when she's building this thing, it makes her feel stronger. It makes her feel like she's fighting back just by building the thing. And I think at the end of the day, that's really all it was meant to represent. I don't think it was ever supposed to come to life or anything like that. I think it was always just ever meant to be a representation of Fatima's strength, something for her to draw strength from. And it seems like it worked.
Yes. And 34 Songstress, could we have done with a little bit less Gollum? Yeah. I mean, he went over the span of a couple of episodes. Could we have gotten the point across that she is building a Gollum, not because it's going to encourage her, but she is the Gollum. It is a foreshadowing that Fatima will eventually turn,
Yeah.
that she's going to try to champion the people in the town. And now, I mean, what happened to the Golem? He eventually had to be put down. So, a foreshadowing of that. Did it
Mhm.
have to take a span of a couple of episodes? No. It probably could have been done in one, right? Get the dirt, make your Golem sort of thing. They kind of lingered on the Golem, and maybe that's why we are a little bit stuck on what was the point, right? If it had been
Uh-huh.
a shorter scene, we wouldn't have been so stuck. It wouldn't have been such a major,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
not
No, I mean, yeah.
disappointment, but
No, yeah, it was definitely a focal point for a little while, and yeah, I mean, it foreshadowing what Fatima would eventually turn into. And is there a deeper story to that at the end of the day? Does that mean Fatima will ultimately lose control? Does that mean Fatima isn't going to be able to kind of hold this back? Because golems are notoriously known for breaking free from their creator's control and just completely causing devastation. So yeah, maybe it is foreshadowing for Fatima not being able to control this thing. But yeah, awesome stuff. And thank you so much, 34 Songstress, for the super chats. Very much appreciate you. And I owe you a whoa. All right, let's get to these last few. We got Leisha for $2. Thank you so much, Leisha. Very much appreciated. Ethan is causing the paranormal activity. Ooh, interesting. All right, now we get to the end of the episode. She can fight, or is she slowly going to kind of succumb to this kind of demonic presence inside of her, I guess. So that should be an interesting question. But no, it seems like the blood only sped up the process and it didn't cause it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We shall see. I'm hoping Fatima can do a My Blood is Your Blood with the golem and free herself of Smiley's blood, thus saving herself. Maybe, and I guess that is also the next question that I was wondering as well is this process reversible? You know, we've seen that she clearly got turned into a monster, but is there any slight possibility that she can be turned back into a human? And if she could, is that potentially a foreshadowing or a precursor for maybe all of the monsters maybe getting turned back into humans? I hope not. Really, I wouldn't want to see the original monsters get turned back into humans, especially if they sacrificed their children to become this. I feel like them turning back into humans at the end of the story would be too good for them. I feel like they need to suffer a more severe fate. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with Fatima. Will she be able to come out during the daylight? Is she a full-on monster now? Will she even survive? I guess we will see. And of course, in this episode, we saw this the Ankui that we saw at the end of season 3, and I think we got the confirmation that we kind of already were assuming that this in particular Ankui child was the daughter of Jade and Tabitha.
Yes, and she's so cute. I was kind of I like seeing the little girl happy. And she does this little movement, right? Where Tabitha says, I think that this was her. She recognizes their daughter's skull. And she sees her coming forward. We've seen that. But then she does this little movement where she's playing with her, like kids do. Toddlers will go like this to your face. And you get to see the little Ankui girl happy. And I just thought that this was sweet because it's a nice reminder that they look very scary, but they're just little kids. They're
They're
just
children.
tiny little kids, children that were sacrificed. And to see her so playful and smiling, it really does remind you that we're talking about a very dark topic here. That the poor little girl, you see that big scar on her forehead. I mean, that's horrifying, but she's smiling and she's playing with Tabitha, like playing at her face. Oh, it was sweet. I thought it was very sweet to see her this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a nice scene. You know, we see that this in particular Ankui child is the daughter, and we got her kneels down, with a nice big smile on her face, kind of like, now do you remember me, mom? Type deal. So yeah, it was it was a fun little sweet scene seeing this little Ankui.
Yeah, she's such a sweet little girl. It was a nice reminder that this is the story of a family that had to sacrifice their child.
Your
And her
children.
remembering her with a smile, it just makes us remember we're talking about children because sometimes I think that we kind of lose the plot. We say
Easy.
child sacrifice so often that it's like, oh, child sacrifice. But we're
Yeah.
talking about children that were sacrificed, which is a super dark topic. And
Mhm.
we see the child smiling. We see her being just like any other child. If you guys have children, you know that children do this to you. They'll go to your face like this. So it was nice to see her smiling. And
Mhm.
it makes me sad to think that she sits there and she cries out to her mom and dad. And she's been doing this for centuries so that they could come back for her. And she's just waiting to be picked up, to be saved. And Tabitha was so kind of mean, right? When she first saw her, she ran away from her. So it was nice to see her smile.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because again, when we saw this Ankui child, this specific one here at the end of season 3, she wasn't there in season 4. That one scene that we get in season 4 when we see all of the Ankui children just in the street and they're all pointing at Tabitha, trying to kind of give her that hint that she was the one who created the talismans and what they could potentially mean. This specific Ankui kid wasn't there. And I imagine that was probably just availability issues. Maybe we'll see that actress again in the future, but they tend to always kind of switch up the Ankui child actors, which is just something you kind of have to suspend your disbelief on every once in a while. But yeah, Tabitha got to kind of get that. It almost seems like this was the first moment Tabitha really accepted that this was her daughter. Like seeing that skull, holding that skull in her hands, it seems like that was the moment where it finally became real for Tabitha. Up until that point, it didn't seem like it was super real to her, at least the daughter part of it, sacrificing this daughter of hers part of it. I think that was the moment it really hit her. But yeah, interesting.
Yes.
And Kenny's another character we barely got back and forth a little bit like we did here in season 4. Yeah, I could definitely see a little bit more of that. And who knows, maybe some other forms that he might take on as well, like Elgin, for instance.
Yeah. It's gonna be hard. Can't be
It's
at
gonna
the
be
same
tough.
place at the same time. It's gonna be
Very
tough.
tough. Yeah.
But the other thing, one of you guys said in the chat, Clara's doing her big one. She is. She's
Yeah.
getting rid of Elgin's body, and we see
Yeah.
her within minutes. She's already collecting talismans. So
Yeah.
that means that it wasn't that difficult.
She was
She
a
was able
quick
to haul
disposal.
this body, which is super heavy. I was
Yeah.
very impressed by the minion that she has become. She has become an obedient minion. And you see that she does things willingly because Elgin tried to make a run for the door and she stepped right in. Nobody asked her to do that. So she's a willing minion. I like that she's like, oh, take care of the body. And Clara's like, well, how? What do I do? And she's like, you figure it out. It's like, yes, do you forget that you're a minion, that this is not a good person that you're working for?
Yeah. Figure it out on your own. It just better be gone. But like you said, it looks like she does successfully dispose of the body, at least, if nothing else.
Quickly. And she
Uh,
does it quickly.
Someone else is going to find that picture. She just left it at the diner. And that's another interesting possibility. Someone could find that picture or even another picture that also maybe has her in it. Who knows how? I mean, it seems like this place is littered with these old freaking Polaroids just all over the place. So who knows what else could get discovered through, that mechanism on the show. More Polaroid reveals, I guess. Could definitely see something like that happening. Absolutely. He will use Elgin's form to get close to Julie because Julie and Sophia have already gotten off on the wrong foot. Maybe, I could see that potentially being a possibility. I mean, I feel like the Man in Yellow at this point is, or at least in our current timeline, the Man in Yellow knows about Julie. But I'm really looking forward to their paths starting to cross a little bit more. And I guess that was one thing I was hoping to get a little bit more in season 4. And of course, finding out how exactly Julie gets this gnarly scratch on her face. But we know that there is more there. We know that there is stuff to come between Julie and the Man in Yellow. When the Man in Yellow sees her at the beginning of season 4, one of his very interesting lines of dialogue is, "We have to stop meeting like this," indicating that they have met like this over and over again, or at least multiple times. So it seems like Julie and the Man in Yellow still have a very interesting future in terms of the story walking. And I imagine we're going to get a lot of story walking in season 5. But yes, it would have been nice to get a little bit more of that in season 4. I feel like, again, her storyline started off super strong and then kind of fizzled out towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention very briefly. I know that we got super chats to go through, so we'll go through
Yeah.
those, but very briefly. The Men in Yellow did not like Elgin, and I'll tell you why. The Men in Yellow didn't like Elgin, one, for the obvious, but also he took Jim's tooth and tells Tabitha, "Oh, I like Jim. I took one of his teeth. So it seems like if he likes you, he'll take a tooth. But if he doesn't like you, he just kills you and it's like whatever. He
Mhm.
didn't take one of Elgin's.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do it for everybody. He has his people he likes. So I guess if he does like you, he'll take one. But if he doesn't care for you, he just looks at it as get rid of the body. I
Yeah.
thought, is she going to take one of Elgin's so that she could turn? Because part of me believes that the teeth are involved somehow
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
turning into them, but she
Mhm.
didn't. she did not take one of his teeth, so she must have not liked them.
Yeah, maybe that's an indication. And yeah, if the teeth are tied to the shape shifting in any way, shape, or form, is it needed? Maybe. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. What will happen next? Will Sophia turn into Elgin? But we got From Downtown for 10. Thank you so much, From Downtown. Very much appreciated, my friend. When Fatima said, "Remember who I was," my mind immediately went to Jasmine telling Kevin I wasn't always like this, And I felt so bad for Ellis as he was trying to go towards her. Yeah, again, it was a good scene. I feel like it was a heartbreaking scene seeing Ellis and Fatima go through this. I would have loved for Ellis to have seen Fatima turn like with his own eyes. I feel like that would have made the scene so much more devastating and super more emotionally depth. But either way, it was still a good scene. I think you see this kind of this relationship that they have, how Ellis looks at Fatima, how it's everything to him. Like, this isn't just his wife. This is his everything, his reason for breathing. And to see that split happen and for Fatima to have those final words, "Remember who I was." Yeah, I like the correlation there From Downtown. Now that you mentioned it, it does kind of remind me a little bit of Jasmine's line. Yeah, I wasn't always like this, I didn't choose to be like this. So no, I like that correlation From Downtown. I think they sound very similar. I think they have a similar kind of tone to the statement. But no, that's a good one. That's a good connection. And yeah, you definitely feel bad for Ellis. I mean, how can you not?
This is gonna kill Ellis. This is gonna kill him, okay? This is a Romeo and Juliet sort of love.
Adam and
If
Eve.
Fatima goes, he's
Yeah.
gonna go. He's not going to be able to live without her. We have foreshadowing. We were talking about this in the pre-show, but he said to Fatima, "You are my home. If I lose you, I have no home." So she is massively important to him. He's very much in love with Fatima. Fatima was not only his wife, it was his muse, and he's an artist, so that's of high importance to him. He's
Mhm.
not going to be able to live with the fact that Fatima is out there somewhere as a monster. I find it super tragic, just extremely tragic, that From, or the entity, the negative entity, and From has claimed Fatima's body multiple times without any
Mhm.
consent. Multiple times it took over her body and it didn't let her go. We thought that she was safe after she gave birth to Smiley. She thought that she was safe. And as it turns out, no, it consumed her completely. And now she has been forever changed. It literally took over her body to the point where now she's a monster. She turns. So I thought that that was extremely tragic because after she gives birth to Smiley and they bring her back, she's screaming at everybody in the room. Remember, that scene was also very compelling. She's screaming at them saying, "This happened to me. It was my body. I told all of you that something was wrong and nobody listened to me." She goes
Mhm.
then and takes that shower. That is like the saddest shower I've ever seen, other than Gemma's from Severance.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I find it just tragic that her body was taken by this place in such a way and now it's completely taken over. I mean, what are you to do? I don't think that Ellis is going to survive this, guys. I just
Mm.
don't think Ellis is going to survive this.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be tough, especially for someone like Ellis, where I don't think he quite has the same mental toughness that Boyd does. Boyd had to do something incredibly traumatic that was forever changing him in terms of him having to kill Abby, but it didn't break him. It wasn't something that it completely altered who he was fundamentally, and he was never able to recover. Yes, it's always a wound. It's always going to be something that he's is always going to be there. But we see how mentally kind of sharp, mentally mature Boyd is at handling certain things like that. But I don't see that in Ellis, or at least I haven't really seen much of that yet in Ellis, that kind of mental maturity to the point where he's going to be able to kind of, in a healthy way, deal with what happened to Fatima. No, he's going to freak out. I don't see how he's going to be able to handle this well.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be hard for Boyd because Ellis can't die because Boyd will have no reason, right? He's told us very clearly his reason for doing all of this is to keep his son safe, to get him out of here. Otherwise, he killed his son's mother for nothing. So a lot is riding on Ellis staying alive, but Ellis doesn't want to live. He literally told us, "You are my home. Without you, I have no home." He doesn't look at his father as a reason to live. He looks at Fatima as a reason to live, and to see the woman that you love be a monster that comes to your window, I mean, oh, that is just so tragic. And I think it's unearned. The reason why I thought I didn't like the storyline of her becoming a monster, I thought it was
Yeah,
unearned because she
yeah.
didn't make a bargain. These other people made a bargain. They killed their child. So it
Mhm,
seems like you're just making her a monster, right? Because you wrote into the storyline that she was going to give birth to one of them, but she didn't make a bargain with the devil. And we see that this place works on ritual. There was no ritual made for her to become a monster. When Smiley is born, all of the monsters gather around him and they kind of bring him forth. For
mhm.
Fatima, there wasn't ritual, there wasn't a bargain, there wasn't an exchange. So you cheapen the original monsters. If I was the original monster, listen, I would say I had to kill my kid to get this. You did nothing and you got that. Not fair. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Again, I think we need to learn a little bit more about this original sacrifice, these original monsters, and are we going to to find out that it was some kind of curse, as we've kind of been theorizing for a while, that this isn't some kind of gift, this was some kind of curse that might have happened to them. Whether it was because the Ankui children hijacked the energy during the sacrifice for themselves and put it into the tree and made the spell get corrupt in some way. But it didn't seem like this was maybe what they wanted, the immortality that the parents had in mind. So no, I could totally see something like that being the case. Um, and yeah, I think for me, that is the one thing that I want to see more than anything is an actual flashback to that time period, so we can finally get these types of answers. But
Yeah.
we'll see. But thank you so much from downtown. Very much appreciate it, my friend. We also have Sunflower for 10. Thank you so much, Sunflower. Very, very much appreciate it. I think that the children are helping Jade and Tabby. I think the Fatima Golem is a symbol of herself. Will the man in yellow regret turning Fatima into a monster like the golem? She might not be controlled. Yeah, again, I think it's very interesting to kind of wonder what exactly did turn Fatima into the monster. Because I'm not 100% sure that it was the man in yellow. It seems like it might have been this connection that she has with Smiley, this connection that she kind of continued to use, maybe. I think the blood that the man in yellow gave Sophia, gave Fatima, just kind of sped the process up. Now, again, did Sophia have maybe a hand in it kind of tangentially in terms of like being the mastermind of things? Yeah, then in that sense, then you can kind of attribute it to Sophia, in that perspective. But but yeah, I think this seems to only be step one. If turning Fatima into the monster was the end goal, the next question is why? Why exactly did they want this to happen? Or was this just a natural byproduct of her giving birth to Smiley and having this connection with Smiley? I guess that's the question I have, the original origins of this transformation. But I guess it'll be, if nothing else, interesting to see where they go from here, especially in terms of her being able to hold on to her humanity or not.
I like it, Sunflower. Like the man in yellow says, I like your optimism.
Yeah.
We're all looking at it in a negative way, but it might be the other way around. It might not be the good people can control her and she's just a monster. It might be the men in yellow and the monsters can control her. And she's not going to go along with their plans and she's going to communicate to the humans what they're planning. We know that they like to plan schemes where they play possum, they let the animals out, they plan little things. So we might get more info as to the monsters if Fatima can come out to Ellis and give him all of that information as to how they're planning or what they're going to do. So I do like that. Ironically, Fatima and Ellis might become the original Jasmine and Porn Stash, where it's Ellis from the window of Colony House looking at Fatima collecting the flowers that he put out for her. Because remember, Ellis likes to pick flowers for Fatima. Who like to pick flowers? Porn Stash like to pick flowers for what was her name? What was the
Jasmine.
monster's name? Jasmine. And Jasmine would pick them up and say that she liked them. So I thought maybe it's always been there. There was foreshadowing there when Ellis was picking flowers for Fatima that one day they would become Porn Stash and Jasmine. She's going to come to his window. He's going to be like that. You get the painting I made you. You could decorate the cave with it, right? It might be that sort of love story now.
Like a very true Romeo and Juliet story. Two kids from two totally opposite sides that should not be interacting with each other. The forbidden love, as it were. I mean, who knows? I guess anything is possible at this point, but I do think that's kind of a funny concept to see, Ellis and Fatima fall into this 70s porn stash dude Jasmine vibe that we saw in season 1. It would be funny. That would definitely be funny. But yeah, and again, I guess that those are all the questions I have as well. Is Fatima a full-on monster? Can she not come out during the day now? Does she have to sleep in those caves with the rest of the monsters? There's just so many questions coming out of that, and I think most of them are going to boil down to A, does she even survive? Which I think she probably will, and B, is she going to be able to hold on to her humanity? Because if she can control this, that could prove to be a massive asset for them in season 5, having like a kind of like a good monster, for lack of better terms, someone who can tap into these monsters' memories and learn whatever you need to learn about their past, who they are, what deal they made, who they made it with. So if Fatima can control this, I could see it becoming an asset. But that's a big if. That is a very big if she can hold on to her humanity and not just succumb to fully becoming a monster. So I guess that's what I want to see in season 3. Will she be able to control it? But thank you, Sunflower, for the 10. Very, very much appreciated as well. And thank you as well from Downtown. Oh, we got one more from Downtown as well. Surviving the night is gonna be difficult. It certainly is now. I mean, we're going back to the Stone Age of Fromville, to the days before talismans, when it was the wild, wild freaking West in this place. So if nothing else, it should add a certain level of danger to season 5 that the show hasn't had up until this point, where now nobody's safe. Now no time is safe. I mean, yes, you might be safe during the day when the monsters can't come out, but when nighttime comes, it's not going to be as easy as just locking your doors and going to sleep until the next morning. No, now they're going to have to survive. They're going to have to try and find some kind of way to make it through the night every single night. So it's going to be a much different dynamic in season 5 within the town. We're going to see just a totally different pace, I would imagine, with this new kind of constant present threat that they're now going to be under. And I wonder if they start going back to some of their old methods, digging holes in the ground, hiding in walls, doing all this kind of, cleverly hiding positions. Because, now the whole town has changed once they realize all those talismans are gone.
Exactly. Yes, from Downtown. I'm sure glad that they didn't kill this person on the screen. She's going to be the key. So Donna was surviving in From Town
Yep.
before the talismans.
Yep.
When Boyd arrived there, Donna was already telling them, hey, do you snore? She was already thinking, what is it that could get us caught? So she has some experience there, okay? Her and Father Cautry. Father Cautry isn't there anymore, but Donna is still there. So they need to learn from Donna and from Victor what they need to do in order to survive. I think that they have a lot more than other people. Yeah, it's going to be super hard because they're not used to this sort of lifestyle. However, they
Yeah.
do have Victor and they do have Donna, people that have been there without talismans, and now they have the knowledge that the talismans were found in a remote location in the woods. If Sophia didn't keep them, which I thought, okay, we have a fighting chance, guys. We
I'll
have a
find them.
fighting chance.
Yeah.
If she kept them, we wouldn't have a chance at finding them again. But she threw them through the tree. That means that they're going to pop up somewhere in the woods, somewhere in town. So if I was Boyd, I would be like, hey, this is where I originally found them. Let's go around and look for them. That means that somebody can find them again, right? If they found them once, maybe you could find them again wherever the tree puts them. And if not, you have Donna. Donna can tell you what to do and how to hide. Is it going to
Yeah.
be pretty hard? Yeah, it's going to be pretty hard.
It's going to be very difficult. But it's doable, though. Like you said, this is a survivable method. And like you said, I think Donna will be very invaluable in terms of being able to kind of school everybody. This is how we did things back then. This is how we survived back then. I think the snoring thing is very indicative of how smart Donna is in a situation like that, where that might not be something that you would kind of consider, especially somebody new just entering into Fromville, when Penny's not going to stay calm in a hole.
That's why they should have like thrown her out the car. Okay, they should have left her. She refused to get in the car twice. If I was Boyd, you know what, Patty, you either get in the car or you stay.
Or you
And if she
stay.
doesn't, yeah, exactly, let her go. But you know how we have been saying that there's a lot of people, there's like 40 something people, 45, 44, because some of them have died, so it's not the full 47. A lot of them are going to be caught because there's no talisman. So the night, remember, this is all happening during the day. We haven't seen a night. When season 5 opens and it's the first night, I bet you we're going to get rid of 20, 30 red shirts.
VC's going to be going left and right. I would love to see.
Yeah, I bet you. And hopefully one of those is
Hopefully
Patty,
Patty
because
will be one.
Patty, I mean, you know why she got her face burnt in the first place? She was in the bushes, not
She didn't know
hiding.
how to hide in a bush.
Not even, yeah, the boy in white hides better in the bushes than she does. And she started screaming when she saw the dolly. So the dolly was like, oh, really? Gwen grabbed her by the hair and burned her. That's why she got her face burnt, because she called attention to herself. So yeah, Patty is not gonna stay calm in a hole. No way does she survive.
Oh, I love this. This is one of my favorite comments of the entire night right here, because it's so fucking true, and it just completely encapsulates everything that's infuriating about fucking Patty. Yeah, you're 100% right. There is no way you're going to keep Patty cool and calm throughout the night in one of those holes with the monsters right above them, walking around, screeching and hollering, because that was one thing that they described on the show. Before the talismans were found, the monsters were much more active at night. They would screech. They would spend a lot more time in their monster form and just howl, most likely scare tactics, trying to get people to reveal where they are. Once they found the talismans, it's described as they started relying a little bit more on their human forms. They started relying a little bit more on kind of manipulation tactics and trying to convince people to let them in. But before they had talismans, it was kind of like just a big free-for-all, the way it was described. So I wouldn't be surprised if we even see the monsters themselves start changing their tactics back to those old ways, knowing that the talismans are no longer in play. But we might have a little bit of hope. We don't exactly know what happened to the talisman in the clinic yet, because they were trying to get it. It was hidden. It was, it wasn't hanging up. So I'm not 100% sure if that was one Sophia grabbed. I'll have to go back and double check.
No.
But
we never see her get close to the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
She avoids it completely. And Clara is coming from town, not the clinic, not that side. So I think they might be able to find it under the rubble.
Maybe
that still would make it interesting, because you have to fit all those people in one building.
Everybody's living in Colony House now. It's Colony House. It's the only building in Fromville big enough to accommodate everyone. So yeah, if they only have one talisman, if they can find that one in the medical clinic, they might have a little bit of a shot. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be.
Says, I wouldn't want to be Patty's hiding partner. I swear to, I would smother that woman. I could not. She wouldn't have to fear the monster. She would have to fear me, because I could not with Patty. I just can't. The drama, the screaming, the melty face. I still want to know. What possessed the writers to put Patty in that situation?
Hmm.
She was problematic. It makes no
Why?
sense that she was so helpful, that she had such a big role. I still would want to know why. Why did you do this? You
I
could have
think
taken Elgin.
I think that might be why, for the the chaos of it, the infuriating part of it. If nothing else, the actress playing Patty is doing a very good job eliciting this kind of response, out of us as the audience. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to add a little bit more chaos to what was already a chaotic situation. I don't know. Who knows? But I do know one thing, as Lee brings up as well. That's right. There's also the question of the talisman that Jade and Tabitha brought down to the caves. We're not exactly sure what happened to that one yet either, and if that is potentially retrievable. So yeah, that makes not one but potentially two talismans that might still be in play in season 5.
I like this. So there's a possibility at a talisman and a possibility at finding the other ones, just like Boyd found those. Now, still, it is beyond me how you don't see Sophia going around with a bag, going into every building, all of a sudden hanging around with Clara, picking up the talismans. Sophia's getting away with everything, guys. That's why I wanted her to be found out this season. It's like she's walking the streets with this big bag, going into buildings, removing the talisman. Surely there was other people home and she wasn't able to take theirs. Because remember,
Maybe.
there's
Maybe.
like what, 40 something people. That means
Yeah.
that some people were left at home. So how does she enter their homes and take it? She can't
Mhm.
really. She could only enter empty buildings and
Mm.
take it. So some other talismans might be there. Other
Yeah.
than that, the writer has to explain to me how she took all the talismans.
Yeah. And as Blitzkrieg also brings up, that's right. We haven't seen anything after we saw Jade hang up that one down in the Colony House basement. Once they knocked down the wall and they finally exposed that door that they never end up using, I really hope that door plays some kind of part in season 5 and we get to see where it leads to. But yeah, we saw him hang a talisman in there just for good measure. And we haven't been back down into that basement since. So we have no idea if it's still there or if it was removed. But there is a good chance that that one is also maybe in play. So yeah, there might still be a chance yet in terms of talismans, for sure. But who knows? I guess we'll see. I guess we shall see. But either way, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting, because yeah, if you're having Sophia take the talismans, you would think you'd want to have her take all of them. Even leaving just one is enough for everybody to survive. So maybe at the beginning of season 5, maybe we'll actually see Sophia going to the clinic, taking that one, or maybe we'll see other scenes where she goes into the rubble and takes that one. I don't know. I guess we'll see, because it seems kind of, not worth it. But if the people have even just one talisman, they're safe. They can all live in Colony House. So if you're gonna have Sophia steal the talismans, have her steal all the freaking talismans, not just some of them. But
But how
we'll see.
could she, right? I'd like that they don't have her stealing all of them.
Yeah.
Because then you have to explain to me, how did she get into people's houses and take it while they were
Mhm.
just waiting around for Boyd and the crew to get back, right,
Yeah.
from the tree? So it makes me a little bit happy that maybe everybody could
Oh,
gather in Colony House.
that's right. She goes that Clara did the rest of the dirty work for her. That's right. I forgot. Sophia grabbed as many as she could herself. And then she had Clara grab the rest of them. Clara goes up to her and hands her the bag of the clinking rocks and says, "Here's, this is them." Clara grabbed the rest of the talismans. There's a part right towards the end when Clara hands Sophia a bag and you can hear the clanking of stones in the bag. So I think
I
Clara did
mean,
the rest of the dirty work.
I still have to wonder. I'm in my house. Clara comes in and takes my talisman. I would be like, girl, why?
What are
You
you
can,
doing?
no offense. You can't miss her. She wears a bright blue dress. You can't miss her coming through your door, and she can, like a thief in the night, steal your talisman. You would notice, like, where are you taking my talisman?
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe. But yeah, it seems it was yeah, I think it was a joint effort between Sophia and Clara. Clara most likely grabbed the ones that Sophia couldn't grab. It seems like. Yeah, get out, Clara. Fucking Clara already. Because yeah, when she hands her that bag, you can hear the clanking of stones when she hands her the bag. It sounds like it wasn't just one, but maybe multiple. So yeah, maybe Clara did the rest of the dirty work, stole the rest of them. That would make more sense because again, if just from a writing standpoint, if you're going to have Sophia steal the talismans, you need to have her get all of them. Leaving just one talisman makes them safe. So I think that makes again, it's sometimes you have to suspend your disbelief in terms of how did Clara get the other ones, like you mentioned. It's a little sus, but maybe that's why they did it this way to kind of ensure that there are no more talismans heading into season 5.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. I know the next scene is the Victor scene, but I know that we have lots of super chats, so we could get to the
Yes.
super chats and then I'll do the Victor scene.
Yes, let's get through some of these. Why is From an original? I think, but just about every story nowadays is influenced or inspired by something else, something that came before it. So when I see From, yes, I see an original idea, but it also kind of ties into themes and tropes and story kind of structures that we've seen in multiple different films and television series and even books and everything else over the years. It's very hard these days to have a truly just original story because so much stuff has been told. But it is possible to put an original spin on things every now and then, and that's the kind of shows that I look forward to. So I think that's what From is trying to do here. Yes, it's clearly been influenced by a lot of really popular stories that have come before it, but I definitely see it taking that influence and trying to. This scene is 100% lost. Definitely understand why a lot of people were seeing the lost kind of similarities in terms of the boy in white and Sophia, the man in yellow and Jacob, almost having kind of similar dialogue even between those two scenes. So I definitely get the similarities. And again, I don't know how much it is directly Lost inspired, maybe a little bit. But again, like you were saying earlier, PM, this concept of good versus evil, light versus dark, this has been around for a very long time. But at the end of the day, I do at least understand why people are seeing the similarities between From and Lost. There are some similarities. But I do think at their
Well,
core and at the ending, there'll be different stories.
mhm. Lisha, if you could help some of us that haven't paid that much attention to Lost. Oh, I didn't watch Lost, sorry. I watched it by like fast forwarding when people started mentioning Lost as opposed to From. So I didn't watch it with the respect that it deserves. So if you could tell me in the chat, Lisha, what about that scene was 100% Lost? Because I haven't seen Lost. So is it like similar dialogue? Is it exactly the same entities kind of having this walkabout and conversation? Do they also have talismans? If you could tell me a little bit more about that. As far as the story, why is From original? I'm married to a writer, so I hear a lot of this storytelling stuff like on a daily basis. And for me, the writer that made From is brilliant because when you sit down to write a story nowadays, it is very difficult when we are bombarded by media and information and stories, and we have access like never before to stories. It is very difficult to come up with something 100% original. To me, he's brilliant because he decided instead of being original, I'm going to make a melting pot and I'm going to put similar tropes of different religions, different mythology, different stories, and I'm going to combine it all so that when people are watching my show, they think it's Odin, they think it's the Greek philosophers, they think it's XYZ because they're seeing everything. So he kind of blended everything into one storyline. So it is original because it's not original. It is original because he melted everything into his storyline. And usually people go with one. They'll go like vampires or monsters or zombies. He decided, I'm going to have nightmare creatures. They're going to be afraid of the sun, but they're not going to burn quite like a vampire, but they're still going to act a little bit vampire like. So he's original because he's not original. So I think that, that's brilliant. But Jeremy, why am I asking? Like, you are the Lost expert here. Is this scene something that we've seen in Lost? Can you please tell me?
Yes, it is pretty similar in tone and almost in dialogue to a very specific scene between Jacob and the Man in Black and Lost, where they're both, the Man in Black's walking up to Jacob and they're both sitting on a beach. And they have a very kind of similar discussion in terms of both of them being on, opposite sides, but there being this kind of almost cordial familiarity between the two characters. Like, you definitely got the sense that they were very familiar with each other and might have even been friends at one point, which you find out later on they were more than friends, brothers actually. But the dialogue is very interesting because they're having this kind of debate, or this age old, centuries old kind of struggle over humanity and what their views on humanity are, what they can get humanity to do, what Jacob can get humanity to do, and what the Man in Black can get humanity to do. And it's a game. It's a game that they have been playing over and over and over again. And in Lost, the metaphor, is backgammon, where in From, it's kind of this chess metaphor. So I understand the similarities that people are saying. Like, some of the dialogue is pretty similar. But again, these light versus dark, good versus evil, these are, story kind of points and tropes that have been around long before From, long before Lost, and will continue to be out long, as long as storytelling is still a thing. So yeah, while there are some similarities there, I do think From takes inspiration from certain things, but I am hoping and looking, for the most part, seeing them try to take these tropes and do their own thing with them. But that one scene in isolation, yes, it was very similar to that one Jacob and Man in Black scene.
Okay. Because not having seen that, it's
Mhm.
just very reminiscent of Satan and God. Satan and God having this
Very
conversation
similar.
of, he only loves you because you give him everything. Let me take everything from him and let's see if he still adores you,
It's so
sort of
similar to
thing.
that.
But before the story of the Bible, Satan and God, there was the story of creation. Because before even the Bible or the concept of Jesus Christ, there was the concept of creation, of somebody having created us and somebody not wanting us to persevere, and then a deity that looked kindly upon us and wanted us to persevere and gave us knowledge or gave us fire. And other mythologies, they gave us fire as a way to help us persevere. So it is this black and white sort of good versus evil story.
Mhm.
I'm not too mad that at the center of the story of this mystery is the age old good versus evil.
Yeah,
I think it's still compelling. I
it's how
think
you
to this
package.
day, it's still a compelling story.
Yeah, yeah. And again, it's not just that. It's also the character-driven storytelling that we're getting here as well, that I think is just as intriguing, if not even more intriguing at times, than the kind of grand mystery and the grand good versus evil kind of tropes that they're playing with as well. Seeing the individual journeys that these characters are going on, everything that they've learned, how much they've grown from season one until now, that has been, just, as good a part of the show as any other aspect for me, for me at least anyway. So yeah, when I see From, I see some similarities to shows that have come before it, but I don't think it's any one kind of thing redone, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between Lost, but at their core, they're very different stories, I think. And I think they'll have different outcomes, but can definitely not fault people for seeing the similarities. There are parallels there, especially, again, that one scene in isolation in particular was very reminiscent of that Jacob Man in Black scene. But yeah, And again, I don't mind the age-old good versus evil story if it's packaged in an interesting way, in a way that does put a neat spin on it that maybe we haven't seen before, even if it's just a slight thing or two. And I'm hoping that's what we're going to ultimately get from by the time it's all said and done. But we'll see. We shall see. But I guess this is the next question I wanted to ask each and every one of you guys as well. What do you think about this, PM? Now that we have seen the season 4 finale, now we know season 4 has been kind of polarizing up until this point, just based on some of the comment sections we've been getting all season on our streams and videos and everything else, which has been extensive. Tons of comments have come through this season. There has been a pretty big portion of the fans that weren't super thrilled with season 4. So I guess now this is the next question to ask. Now that we've seen the season 4 finale, do you think it made it a satisfying feeling? If you didn't enjoy season 4, did the finale redeem it in your eyes? What did you guys think about this finale, and did it cap off the season in a way that you were hoping for? What about you, PM? After seeing this finale, do you think it was, worth it? Do you think the buildup was worth the payoff?
That's a really difficult question, Mr. Jeremy Eisenfire. You know that I look to you. You know I follow your lead. Why don't you go first? Because
Okay.
I don't know that I'm ready to answer that question.
Me
I want
neither.
to answer how you answer, so you go.
Me neither. I don't know if I'm ready to answer that question yet, because I don't know if I even know the answer yet, to be honest. I think I may need to watch the finale again. Let's see what the chat is saying first, and then we'll return to our answers, shall we?
Yeah.
It was a good finale in my opinion. Awesome, love to see that. Yeah, again, if you guys enjoyed the finale, that's what we like to see. And if you didn't enjoy it, there's nothing wrong with that either. Again, I enjoyed a decent amount of it. 4 out of 10 for Doc Phil for this letdown of a finale season. Hey, say nothing wrong with that. One thing that we love is the honesty. We always want to hear what your guys' honest opinion is. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, doesn't matter. We just want to hear from you guys and have a discussion talking about it. So yeah, love that, Doc Phil. 4 out of 10. Hey, nothing wrong with that, my friend. Nothing wrong with that. Catastrophe says, I liked it. Kiwi Skirt says, finale was an improvement on the season, but underwhelming end for me. Interesting. Still a lot unanswered. Yes, definitely still a lot unanswered. Good episode, but not finale tier level, says Krista Seattle. And I definitely do agree to a certain extent with that sentiment, and I'll definitely expand upon that in a minute. It was really good, but there were literally no answers in the finale. I would have really wanted at least 1 or 2 mysteries. And yeah, I suppose, we got some information. We got some data points. But in terms of like massive revelations and answers, yeah, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. We got a 5. Awesome. 5th season, all action, no time wasted, lots of answers. It seems like that might be the case. It did kind of feel like they're saving all of the real major stuff for season 5. I was hoping we were going to get some of it at the end of season 4 in this finale, and we got some things, definitely. But it definitely seems like they're saving a huge bulk of the really big stuff for the last season. So yeah, we'll see. We shall see. The finale was satisfying. It answered some questions we have been waiting a year for. It also leaves plenty to be found. A rewatch of the entire show is needed again. 100% Lee, and that's usually always my first response as well, especially when you're done watching the season for the first time. You always want to go back and rewatch not just the finale, but the entire season to really get like a full on feel for what the season is, what the season was trying to accomplish, and if we as the audience believe that they accomplished it. Once you see the final episode and you go back and rewatch the first episode, we're going to see things in a totally different context. So yes, a rewatch is 100% in order. And usually after that rewatch is usually when people can kind of give their real definitive score. Sometimes giving a score right after seeing the finale can change at times for some people, not everybody. But yeah, definitely warrants a rewatch. I do agree. Anna says it felt incomplete. Chad says it was the best finale of all time. Hey, I love it. I need to watch it during the day, says Lee. 1 out of 10 wigs. Plot armor season felt more like plot points when nowhere a completely underwhelming season. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Everyone who says the season didn't give us answers is tripping. It was literally nonstop communication, information. Again, we did get answers. We got from season 5 on, we did get some interesting answers, some interesting data points. For me, it wasn't so much the answers we got, it was the way we got the answers that I think could have been handled a little bit better. Instead of just getting these kind of nonstop dialogue kind of drops where we're getting told all of the answers, I would have liked to see some of the answers instead of getting told, in terms of flashbacks, whatever the case may be, visual storytelling, visual reveals instead of just dialogue reveals. But yes, we definitely got some answers. I mean, we learned a lot about Jade and Tabitha and their ultimate fates, who they are, all of the reincarnations, all the people that Jade has been seeing, who created the talismans, what they potentially mean. There were some definite answers in season 5, in season 4. That much is definitely for sure. But was it enough? Was there a lot of big reveals? No, not a ton, but there were some. It was just average. The season was the worst one yet. So again, so far we're seeing some, split decisions, but a lot of people are saying the finale is underwhelming for a lot of these scores. The finale was a 5 out of 10 for me. We either needed the introduction of a mystery or the resolution of a storyline. Fatima's transformation was emotional, but not captivating. And yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. I think, like PM and I were talking a little bit earlier, in terms of some of the ways that they could have maybe enhanced the Fatima Ellis scene there, make it a little bit more emotional, make it hit a little bit harder. And again, I do think that could have happened with giving them just a couple more seconds together where Ellis can actually see her transforming with his own eyes. I think it would have just hit a little bit harder for him and for the audience, maybe. Felt more like a season 5 teaser than actually answering important questions, says Flawpaw. Interesting. 5 out of 10, B grade, finale for a B grade show, says Quan Solar. I don't know how I feel yet. It was a middle episode. I will give it an 8, but for a final episode, it's a 5. Ooh, interesting. 4 out of 10 from Songstress. Funniest one, though. Yeah, definitely the funniest season yet. I think that's one thing I think a lot of us will probably agree on. It was an absolutely hilarious season when it came to the memes, the jokes, everything that kind of went into the show and some of the funny stuff that came out of it. Absolutely. Severance is an A grade show. Severance is absolutely an A grade show. You'll definitely never catch me arguing that. I love Severance. It definitely did not feel like a complete finale to me. Interesting. They answered what was happening to Fatima, and that was it. Yeah, we did get that answer, at least in the finale, in terms of that. Absolutely. If Jade and Tabitha at least go out to the cave in the finale episode, that would be good. But just sticking them in the cave for the finale is crazy. Easy money for them. Yeah, I mean, it was in terms of filming wise. Yeah, all their scenes were very located in a very closed off space. And I guess that's where that picture came from, the filming of season 4 towards the beginning, when we saw that one little photo of Tabitha and Jade. But yeah, it seems like the majority of people were not super thrilled with the finale. We got some 8.5s. The beginning was 8.5, but after the Marielle died, it went down to 6.57. But we do have a 9 out of 10 from Jeannie. Elgin is still a special boy, but redeemed himself. I am looking forward to the slaughter/action in season 5. I am too as well. If nothing else, that is one thing that it does appear that they are saving most of all of the big stuff for season 5. And now that the talismans are all potentially gone as well, it's going to be a dangerous season. I am expecting it to be a dangerous and dark season. But then again, I was expecting that for season 4 as well. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to seeing where season 5 is going to go. But so far, just from quick little temperature of the chat, it seems like a lot of people were not super satisfied with the finale. What about you, PM?
Mhm. Mr. Jeremy, it is you. You go first, Mr. Jeremy.
I'll go first. I'll go first. Yes. Okay. Very similar. I mean, I enjoyed the episode as a last episode, but in terms of a From season finale, yes, it was a little underwhelming. And again, maybe it's just because I have a really high bar for the finales of From, which I do. I mean, I've always loved the first episode and the last episode of every single season. They've always been super kick-ass. So maybe coming into this episode, I had too high of expectations. But that's what happens when you're used to kind of a certain quality or something that you feel is a certain quality, you expect it to continue. So maybe I just had unrealistic expectations, but yeah, it was a little underwhelming in terms of that finale feeling. Every single finale of From, it's hard to describe, but it's that finale feeling. It has that feeling of, okay, we're getting some interesting wrap ups. They're setting up some interesting things for the next season. It just felt, some of the previous season finales just felt a little more definitive, I guess I could say. So no, it wasn't the best finale for me personally. I just don't like that they saved so much for season 5. They save a lot for season 5. I would have liked to see just a little bit more in season 4, a little bit more big reveals, even if it's just one big reveal that sets up an interesting storyline heading into season 5, or an actual real flashback to the original timeline. And I noticed that we did not get the colonial one at all. So yeah, again, it was a good episode. I would say just as an episode, definitely a solid 8 out of 10. But as a finale, I would probably give it, just on first glance, a 6.5 out of 10.
Ouch.
But does it redeem the season as a whole, I guess, was the other question. That I don't know. I mean, again, I need to watch the entire season from start to finish. Now that we've seen the finale and we see where the season goes, I need to rewatch the season from start to finish. But I will say this, just at first glance, this is probably my least favorite season so far. That I can say.
Ooh. Okay. Well, lots of honesty going around today.
But I enjoyed a lot of it too. I don't want to just seem like I'm hating on all of it. Just because it was my least favorite season doesn't mean I didn't like it. It just means I liked the previous seasons a little bit more.
Of course. This is for Mr. John Griffin. Okay, as if he was listening. He's probably not listening, but Mr. John Griffin, please tell us your story the way that you wrote it. I understand that the call that you got to make Clara the mole was a call that came from the outside. This was not something that you had in your storyline. Don't allow that to happen constantly. In season 5, please tell us the story that you wrote. Do not be concerned with giving the fans things that they want. Like Smiley showing up and saying, "Hi, mother." Don't be concerned. We love talking about your show, but don't give us anything. We want you to tell us the story as you wrote it. The big bad. We understand that you love Sophia and you love the actress and the way that she's portraying the big bad. Too much of a good thing is bad. Too much of a good thing stops being scary. So, Mr. John Griffin, we understand you love Sophia. Small doses is the way to go. She's amazing, but when we are hanging out with the big bad instead of hanging out with the humans, you're giving us too much of a good thing. We can't see her greatness when the entire season is Sophia going around town. We should have been hanging around more with the people, and when we see Sophia, we would have been afraid of her because we know she's the big bad.
And that was the problem. She wasn't very scary. The man in yellow was scary when he
Too
was
much
on.
of a good thing. I mean, but why was he scary? He was scary not just because he's the man in yellow, because you saw him for seconds and he
Exactly.
did horrifying things.
Small
The
doses.
same should be for Sophia. It's okay that we're in on the joke. You tried it this way. For season 5, give us the story like you wrote it. Don't be influenced. Also, you're a very kind writer. You want to give people opportunities. You said that you wanted, I've seen your interviews, and you say that you want to explore the background, the actors that are in the background. You are kind. That's a kind gesture. Don't do it anymore. Focus on your show. Focus on your show. There's a time for kindness, and this was your season for it. In the
Oof.
future, your main cast is your main cast. It doesn't work when you're giving Patty and other people all of the screen time when we don't get enough of the main cast. You're paying the main cast. Why isn't Randall getting more lines than Patty is? This
Yeah.
is not coming from somebody that hates your show. This is coming from somebody that thinks that you're a brilliant, amazing writer. Tell us the story that you wrote, not the story that the fans are writing, and not the story that the other people that you think are great are calling you on the phone telling you we should make Clara the Mole. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe this is a come to Jesus moment because we all love the show. There's nobody that is spending this much time on the show because they don't love it. If you're here at the live stream, we're spending hours dissecting a story. It is because you love it, you're invested in it. So, this is criticism coming from a place of pure love. Tell us the story that you wrote, like you were on season 1 when nobody was paying attention. That was your best season. Go back to that.
Mm.
That's
Interesting.
it. I take a bow. That's it.
I love
Kick
it.
me out of the family. You could
I,
kick me out of the family now. That's fine.
Absolutely not. No one's ever getting kicked out of the Frumley for speaking their mind and giving their opinion. There's nothing wrong with constructively criticizing something that we love because we do love it. Like you said, we wouldn't be here, 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week for multiple hours dissecting every frame of this show if we weren't obsessed with it, if we didn't love this world, if we didn't love these characters. And yeah, if we give constructive criticism on something, it's because we have high standards for this show because you guys have delivered high standards. Every single season has been so awesome. At least I believe every season has been super awesome. This is the first season that I ever have had that feeling where it did feel a little underwhelming at times, especially in the finale. So yeah, anytime we're ever talking about what we like and what we don't like, it's always coming from a place of love because we do love this show. And I think anyone who's been around long enough, who has at least been familiar with this channel for more than a few weeks, I think you guys know that as well. We love this show, but we're also going to give our honest opinion on it as well when we feel like it maybe could do a little bit better. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that is what an open and fair discourse, an open fandom should be. People should not be afraid to say they don't like something for fear of how they're going to be received. People should be able to feel free to speak their mind. And that's kind of always the atmosphere we have wanted to kind of cultivate here on this channel, where everybody in the chat, it doesn't matter if you love the show or hate the show, you can let it be known as loud as you want, as long as we're all doing it in a respectful way, which we always do. So yeah, nothing wrong with not enjoying the season, nothing wrong with not enjoying the finale, and there's definitely nothing wrong with enjoying it and loving every minute of it. That is what a healthy fandom should be doing, and a healthy fandom should be able to discuss these things openly. And that's one thing I do love about the From fandom. We can get together with people that are kind of split down the middle, with half of the people that love something and half of the people that don't love it. And we can have a good intellectual conversation about it. And that's what makes this so fun. Whether we like it or don't like it, discussing it is always fun.
Yeah, it's always fun. And we're invested in the show. We love the show.
Yeah.
But Mr. John Griffin, this is coming from somebody that thinks that you are brilliant. I think that you're an amazing man. I think that you're a brilliant man. The contrast, because I listen to the interviews, the contrast when things don't make sense, they don't feel from. Always in every interview, he says, I got a call. that told me maybe Clara should be the mole. I got a call that told me maybe this would be interesting. And we can tell the contrast. We can tell when it's you and when it was something added as an after effect. We can tell. We love your work. Of course, we could tell. So just keep your work what it was. I know that it must be difficult. I mean, this thing blew up. In the first season, there was not a lot of people talking about the show. So it was some weirdos like us talking about each episode. But now it blew up, right? So it becomes a little bit more difficult. I'm hoping that season 5, we could go back to the storyline as he created it. Stop taking the calls. These people are very important and very impressive. They created Lost. I understand. This is yours, though.
Mhm.
That's just my point of view. But I loved it. I thought it was great. From is still better. A bad season of From is still better than the best season of something else.
Absolutely, 100%. Even season 4 of From, even if I didn't enjoy every single storyline, I still like the season as a whole. And yeah, it's still better than 90% of the television out there, hands fucking down. But yeah, again, there's nothing wrong with having some criticism about something that you really love, something you're really passionate about, and something that we all put a ton of time into. We've invested so much time of our lives, all of you in the chat, everybody that talks about the show, everybody that covers the show. When you invest that much time into something, yeah, you've earned the right to constructively criticize it. I believe. I think that is, a fan's right. But everybody has different opinions, everybody has different beliefs, and that's totally fine. And that's another fun part of getting together and discussing this stuff, because not everybody sees everything the exact same way, and there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, overall, it was a good season, just not a great season, in my opinion. Good, but not great. But yeah, I mean, we do have a lot to chew on. There's still so much more that we need to dissect. So I'm sure we'll be doing tons of streams over the next few days and over the next few weeks, diving super deep into this finale. There's so much we still need to touch on. I know I definitely need to go rewatch it a few more times to really get the full scope of what I really think about it. Just, not just my first initial reaction, which we're doing now. But it's always fun to do both. The initial reaction and the reaction once you've had a time to really stew in it and watch it a few times and see how they differ, what stays the same, and what changes. But yeah, overall, good season, just not a great season, just for me personally. But love the show nonetheless and can't wait to see where season 5 goes. If nothing else, I feel like it points to season 5 being fucking hectic now because they have a lot. I mean, they have a lot that they need to
cram
wrap
in
up.
there. Yeah.
They got a lot to wrap up and only one season left. So I imagine season 5 is going to have a much quicker pace.
I mean, listen, I'm willing to hang around for a season 6 and a 7 and an 8. If you need more time to wrap things up, that's fine with me. I'm happy. Let's get back to wrapping things up at the pace that we were used to, like season 1. I'm not somebody that's harassing them over answers. I think that the season, it was really nice to see the ending. Usually, towards the ending, we get the big reveal, and we did get the reveal that this is a game.
Yeah.
We know who the players are. That's huge for us. We have been speculating about this for years. So for me, it's huge to know that we can trust in the boy in white. That we can trust that he is not some bad entity. He is not some demon. He is clearly on the side of the humans. And this is clearly a game. This is a game. So that was a solid answer. There was some amazing parts in it. I'm happy with it overall. Can everything be a 10? No. Nothing is perfect. Nothing
No.
is a 10. Is this going to be maybe like my least favorite season and all of From? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But we still love the show. That's for sure.
Still love the show.
But there is one question I would love to ask you, PM, and everybody in the chat. And I wonder if this maybe could have changed certain things because as Ramsey brings up, the marketing department needs to get their fingers out of the pie. And I think that was one thing that faced heavy criticism this season was the marketing, the trailers, and the content that they were releasing, and all the spoilers that they kind of shoved into the trailer. I wonder if the season 4 trailer came out and we had no idea that Fire Mitts was coming. We had no idea that these dolls were coming. We had no idea that all the stuff that was kind of spoilery in the trailers, if we had no idea any of that was coming, would we have received the season a little bit better? I wonder. Because I feel like, not for all of the season, but for certain aspects of the season, knowing that things were coming made them not as impactful when they finally did come. Like the doll scene, for instance. We all knew it was coming. We all knew what was going to happen. We knew this thing was going to burst through the cabin. But if we didn't see that, if we had no idea that was coming, that would have been a pretty crazy scene that none of us would have expected. Living dolls just bursting into a fucking cabin, we wouldn't have expected that. And along with a lot of the other kind of things that the promotional material did kind of spoil. So I wonder if it's even possible that the season might have maybe been received a little bit different if we had a different marketing kind of strategy this season. Maybe not. Maybe it still would have been received the exact same way. But I think if nothing else, at least in isolation, it could have made certain episodes and certain scenes land a little bit better if we didn't know they were coming.
I have to agree with you, Jeremy. Once again, you're correct, as you usually are. I mean, now that we have seen the entire season, now I can really feel what was taken from me when they showed me Fire Mitts. Now I can feel what was taken from me. You took that from me, and there was
Right.
nothing in the season that would outdo that. I mean, let's be serious. There was nothing else that would outdo Fire Mitts and the Kool-Aid Man breaking through Cannibal Village. And you just spoiled that for me. So I would just have to say, I 100% agree. And to the creator and to the marketing team, you have done something different this season. We noticed. We don't like it. Stop it. You have done something different. Don't do it again. Do not do it for your final season. And Mr. John Griffin, don't allow them to do this to your show. We know that this is the big dog when it comes to MGM. This is why they're selling their memberships. This is why we are subscribing. I know my subscription is because of From. Nothing else. Don't let them ruin it and spoil your show. I mean, the social media showed us that it was teeth in that little bag.
Yeah.
How is that okay? That's not okay.
Yeah.
That is not okay. We are playing a cat and mouse game. Our job is to harass you for information. Your job is to deny us. Yes, it sounds like the fandom wants information, but we don't want you to give it to us, okay? This is a cat and mouse game. It's a balance. You're not supposed to give us the information that we want or the information in the trailers. We're supposed to dissect the trailers and have no idea what's happening. When you give it away, the fun is gone. You have done something different. We can tell. Stop it. Please, you're killing us.
I mean, and when it comes to the marketing side of things, they did do something very different this season that they've never done in any of the previous seasons. And that is when they cut their trailers, when they're picking the scenes that they want to put in trailers. If you look at season 1, 2, and 3, every trailer that came out, all of the footage is only from the first 5 episodes. Sometimes a scene or two will sneak in there from episode 6, but it's usually only the first half of the season that they make their trailers out of. This is the first season that they grab scenes from just about every single episode. Not everyone, but 1 through 8. We got all the way up to episode 8, and we were still seeing stuff that we had seen in the trailer. That is something new. They had never done that before. And that was one thing that I always really enjoyed, where we got to see these very interesting trailers, and you kind of already knew in the back of your mind, okay, this is only the stuff that's going to come in the first half of the season. Imagine what the second half of the season is going to look like. So that is something new that they did this season, where they cut their trailer from episodes 1 through 8 instead of just the first half of the season like they usually do. And again, maybe that did play into things being received maybe a little bit differently because we knew they were coming, like fire mitts, like the teeth, and other things that were kind of spoiled. But yeah, I don't know. I think, would it have changed the whole season overall as a whole in terms of how people see it, how they liked it, how they didn't like it? I have no idea. It's above my pay grade. But I guess it is a question that I do wonder if the marketing was a little bit different. If we didn't know some of these scenes were coming, would they have landed a little bit better?
I think they would have. I think they would have. You make yourself valuable by making yourself scarce. The more you give us, the less value it holds.
Less is
Don't
more.
give us anything, less is more, including the big bad. Sophia, we would have been mesmerized by Sophia every second she was on screen if she wasn't on our screen 100% of the time. I mean,
Mhm.
you were talking about let's do a rewatch. We can binge the season now because it's all out. And
Yes.
you know what I first thought? And I love the show. I love the show. But you know
Yeah.
what I thought when you said that? I don't think I can stomach Sophia running around town back to back for hours on end and
Mhm.
nobody doing anything. I don't
Mhm.
think I could stomach the fact that she is winning the entire season and it's her getting away with everything and I'm hanging out. It feels like they dropped us off with her. They never picked us up. And I'm
Mhm.
like, don't drop me off with the big bad. I'm supposed to be over there with the humans. Why am I hanging out with the big bad for most of the show? I don't know that I could binge it and watch Sophia just destroy all of these people and nobody be the wiser when she's so obvious, you know? I do need a week in between to
Mhm.
be able to stomach that. Um,
Mhm.
we're gonna have more. I love Sophia. Okay, I love Sophia. I love the actress. I think she does an amazing job. Less is more. Less is more. She's scarier when we don't see her that much.
Mhm.
Let's hang out with the humans, please. Can you please drop us off with the humans, not with Sophia next time? You get what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah. No, I mean, I think, and we saw a lot of people kind of discussing that throughout the season in terms of this Sophia storyline, how us as the audience knowing who Sophia is and the characters not knowing who Sophia is, that kind of state is something that shouldn't be sustained throughout the course of an entire season because it starts to get stale, that dynamic. And I think it did start to get stale at some point. You kind of have to show your cards and the villain needs to reveal themselves to the antagonists. Our characters, our heroes on this journey, they need to know who they're up against if they have ever going to have any hope of ever defeating who they're up against. They need to know the full extent of the adversary that they face. And to do that, you can't have this undercover thing go on indefinitely for 2 straight seasons. So I do hope at some point early, hopefully early on in season 5, this Sophia persona will get shed and we will just have the Man in Yellow versus the Residents. One final showdown, one final season. At least I hope that's where it's going. Because, yeah, the Sophia undercover thing, I feel like it's kind of stretched its course up till this point.
Yes.
Um,
But I mean, we hang on the boy in white's every word. Why?
because we
Because we
barely
don't
see.
see him, because he's in the bushes most of the time. He is mysterious and important, and he's in the bushes. So every time he's on screen, we're like, pay attention. What did he say and how did he say it? Right? The same should be for Sophia. I'm just saying, just my
Mhm.
personal opinion. I
Yeah.
know we have other super chats, so
Yes. So
I'll
yeah, let's get
stop
through.
going in on this.
No, totally cool. Yeah, we'll get through the rest of these. But first, I also wanted to acknowledge this as well, because I think this is also one of the scenes that definitely stood out to me in the season in terms of one of the scarier, kind of unsettling, creepy scenes. Um, Favorite moment of the season was when the Man in Yellow met Tabitha, the only scene that felt creepy or scary to me. And I'm with you. That is one of the few scenes that genuinely felt kind of creepy and kind of scary. And that's why I do feel like, the Man in Yellow version of the character was vastly underutilized in season 4, where Sophia was maybe overused in season 4. I would have liked to maybe see a little bit more of a balance struck there. Again, like we were saying, sometimes less is more. And I think that's what helped with the Man in Yellow version of season 4. Every time we got him on screen, it was super intriguing because we didn't get a whole lot of him. So it was more memorable. And it was more imposing. It was more scary. It was more menacing. That version of the character is simply just scarier. We talked about a scene in episode 9 when Sophia is with Clara in the upstairs bedroom. And she's asking Clara for her hand. And Sophia looks at her with like these puppy dog eyes and is like, Clara, give me your hand or I'm going to do horrible things to you. Like the way she says it, the look on her face, it's just so non-threatening, so not imposing, so opposite of scary. That when you see Doug and the Man in Yellow version of the character talking to Tabitha at the RV, it's the complete opposite. It's super scary. It's super imposing. It's super threatening. It's super menacing. And, he kind of also has this sadistic comedic glee that kind of cherry on top for the character that just works so well. The way he kind of walks off humming and stuff, everything about that character is just way scarier. It's a way scarier version. So I agree with you. I think that was one of the better moments, seeing the Man in Yellow and Tabitha at the RV. Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome stuff. All right, we got Mick Light for $2. Thank you so much, Mick Light. What about the door Boyd found? Yes, Mick Light, and we touched on this very, very briefly earlier, but I'm wondering that exact same thing. We see this storyline kind of get brought up in season 4, where Jade has this trip, he finds this hallway, this door, and they think it's going to lead them into the tunnels. And then, like some of the other storylines in season 4, it just fizzled out and it didn't go anywhere. I have to imagine they're going to pick it up again in season 5. Like the last thing we see is that the door is sealed and they don't know how to open it, so they put a talisman on it. So yeah, I feel like it would have been nice to see that storyline wrapped up, or at least see them get that door open and see what's really on the other side. Was Jade's vision accurate? Does that lead to the caves, or is there something else on the other side of that door? So yeah, it was one of those storylines that kind of fizzled out, but maybe we'll see what's on the other side of that door in season 5. Maybe they'll finally get it open. Mute.
I thought at the finale it would become evident that that is the door that they need to use to
Yeah.
get out, but it never came into play.
Yeah.
So maybe during season 5, maybe they let us know there's a door there so that in season 5, for some reason, we can have access and we know already that there is a door that they could access from Colony House. So I trust them. It'll come into play. I hope.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I am hoping that it will come into play in season 5, and we'll figure out just what it is, where it leads, why it was sealed off, why it was walled off. Many questions there. Many questions there indeed. But thank you, McLight, for the 2. Very much appreciate it, my friend. Awesome. All right, we also have from downtown for another 2 as well. Does Fatima now have immortality? I guess that is one of the questions, one of the many questions surrounding Fatima and what she really is now. Is she a full-on monster, or is she somewhere in between still, where she still has a little bit of her humanity left, but can also turn into the monster as well? Is she kind of stuck, or is she going to slowly start losing her humanity to the point where she's a full-on monster? But in terms of the immortality, again, I don't know. I mean, did these monsters get their immortality because of the deal they made? And if that's the case, you would think that Fatima maybe might not have that same immortality. But I don't know. She also very well could. I mean, if she is a full-on monster now and she's reaping, the benefits or the curse of being a monster in terms of the physical attributes, in the heightened strength, the shape-shifting, and all of that. If she has all of that, then yeah, maybe she's also immortal as well.
From downtown, I don't think I could answer that question because I don't think that the writing team even knows the
It's
answer.
tough. Yeah.
Something that was made evident with the Q&A that the writers had was that they don't have the middle. They have the beginning, they have the end, and they have exploration throughout the middle.
Mhm.
So I don't even think that they know. In my personal opinion, she should have never been turned into a monster. It cheapens the original ritual.
Uh-huh.
If she is a monster, now you have to tell me about immortality. It has to be the same. You can't be making exceptions whenever you feel like it. Well, she's a monster, but she doesn't have immortality. Well,
Mhm.
she's this, but she doesn't do that. If you
Yep.
made her a monster, then she is a monster like everybody else. You can't kill her. She has to be around. Smiley said, "Oh, that's interesting." He found it interesting because they had not done this to anybody else.
Mhm.
So this is the first time that they are experiencing somebody from the town becoming a monster, as Smiley would say it, right?
Mhm.
So they kind of they have to clear that up. The rule has to apply. They can be making exceptions. I don't think they should have done it, but what's done is done. She's a monster. You can't tell me that, oh, well, she's half human and also a monster and this and that. No, don't make exceptions. It is
Mhm.
or it's not. She has to be living down there in the caves and move all of her stuff, her paintings, her Ellis paintings, start decorating her part of the caves. Okay.
Mm,
You can't have Fatima have her cake and eat it too. If she's a monster, she's a monster. Okay.
mm. Yeah. Yeah, and maybe that is the way to go. Where if she, a little bit of this transformation comes with all of it. Maybe it's not one of those things where you can pick and choose what attributes of the monster you inherit. You just inherit all of it. Yeah, I could see that being the case easily. But thank you so much from downtown. Very much appreciate you, my friend. Awesome. All right, let's see a couple more here. We got Songstress for 5. Thank you so much, Songstress. Do you think Clara gave Man in Yellow talismans or rocks? Also, how did Clara remove Elgin's body? I like the idea of maybe Clara giving her rocks. I mean, we've seen that Clara seems to kind of be well, you know, or Man in Yellow or Sophia definitely has, its hooks well in Clara at this point, to the point where Clara has, like we were saying earlier, she's kind of become like a straight up enforcer at this point. Elgin gets up and he's like trying to sneak out, and she just stands up and gets right in his way. Like, no, you're not leaving. So she's kind of like fully gone on over to the dark side at this point. So I tend to think that they probably were the talismans. I mean, just from a narrative standpoint, if you're going to have Sophia steal the talismans, you need her to have all the talismans for that to work, for whatever they're planning to do work. So I do get the feeling it was probably real talismans, but I think that's an interesting idea. The idea of Clara trying to maybe fake out Sophia, giving her some fake rocks and saying they're the talismans. But I get the feeling Sophia would sniff that out really, really quick, and Clara probably knows that. So I think they were really the talismans. In terms of how did she remove Elgin's body, I don't know. That's a very interesting question. The only thing I can think of is she had to probably drag it out of the diner super, super quick, get it into the woods where she could not be found, not be seen carnations or anything in any way of the sort. The only people that are tied to this place are Jade and Tabitha being reincarnated and the families that they brought along with them, Victor and Ethan. Those are the only characters that are connected to the original timeline and to the reincarnations. That was another thing they confirmed, because that was a big question a lot of us had. Is it just Jade and Tabitha that get reincarnated every cycle, or is everybody that gets stuck here in some way a reincarnation of a previous resident? So now we have that definitive answer. No, only Jade and Tabitha are reincarnated. Everybody else that was brought here has been brought here by the children, but at random. But yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's all been super fun. So what is your final score, closing out the
Oof.
um
Oof. Final score on episode 10 of season 4. And of course, chat, let us know what your final score is for the finale as well, with on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being horrible and 10 being perfect. What score do you guys give the finale? For me, I'm going to stick with my earlier initial first rating, and that's well, I'm kind of back and forth between 6.5 and 7. So I'm gonna go 6.5. I mean, after I rewatch it a few more times, that score might potentially go up, or maybe it'll even potentially go down. But right now, I'm gonna say 6.5 or 6.75, an extra 0.25 for the comedic levity that we got in the episode, whether it was Patty or some of the other comedic moments. So that's what I'll do. 6.75 out of 10 for now. What about you?
Okay, so that is for the finale. What about for the season?
Score for the season overall as a whole. I mean, as a whole, overall, as a season, I don't know, man. I don't know. That is tough. It's probably similar. I would probably say just as a season, I can't go higher than 6.5, 7 out of 10, right around there. Just
Mhm.
overall as a season. I love From. I still love the show. I mean, I liked the season. I definitely enjoyed it. There were some storylines that I really enjoyed. There were some really good scenes that I loved. But it was just overall probably my least favorite season. Doesn't mean I don't like it, but just my least favorite out of the 4. So yeah, I'll give it 6.5, 7 out of 10 on the season.
I mean, that sounds about right. For the season, I'm gonna go 7.
Mhm.
No, I'm gonna go 6.5 for the season. For the finale, 6. 6. I still
Mhm.
love the show. I still love the show.
Yeah.
Um, we must acknowledge what it is. Otherwise, we wouldn't be honest. Otherwise, you cannot count on us, chat.
Yeah.
If we were to give this a 10, it would be in contrast to what you're saying. We have heard all of your comments today, and all of your comments do kind of lean in the way of there is a lot of contrast there. So you
Mhm.
wouldn't be able to trust us if we came out here and said that it's, perfection. It's not perfection. Nothing is, but other seasons were, way better than this. Way better
Mhm.
than this. There's a contrast there. So 6.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, again, it's been a season of ups and downs. It's been a season of some storylines that I really did enjoy, some really good character moments that I really did enjoy, some good ones with Jade, Victor, um, but yeah, there were some things that I think could have been done maybe a little bit differently, a little bit better. The Sophia storyline, I wasn't the hugest fan of, at least the undercover Sophia, storyline. That aspect of it, I feel it was stretched a little bit too far beyond its expiration date. I think the Man in Yellow maybe wasn't utilized as much as he could have been. I think he's a very unique and interesting and kind of original villain. But yeah, overall, I like the season. It was a good season, just not a great season. Is what would be my final kind of tally. Good, but not great. And yeah, I don't know. I definitely need to rewatch it though. I need to go back. I need to rewatch this finale a few times. I also need to go back and rewatch the entire season from start to finish, and definitely get a much better grasp overall on where it is. But yeah, we're always going to give you guys our honest opinion, whether we like it or don't like it, or whether we're somewhere in the middle. You'll always get our real feedback. So yeah, 6.5 for the episode, 6.57 for the season. I can't go any higher than that.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael, for the super chat. And yeah, and you guys would be able to tell if we were to come on here and say, like, this was the best season ever, and like this is amazing and all of that. If it's a contrast to what you're seeing, yeah, you would be able to tell that we were not
Yeah,
being honest with you. But still better than 99% of the TV that's out there. So we still love
definitely.
From.
Definitely.
But that doesn't mean that we are blinded, and we could definitely see what's going on. Hopefully, And this is what helps, guys. You don't get change unless you're honest. It is important that we are truthful, because if they are listening to the family, they're going to get the feedback, right? They're going to get the feedback when they see that their fandom, who has been loyal, has feedback that is honest to give them. They will change their tune if they are listening to the fans, which I believe that they are, because a lot of this is fan service. Like Smiley saying, "Hey, mother," and Clara being the mole, that is fan service. So
Yeah.
we know that they're listening to us. That's why it's important to be honest. Maybe they could go back to, back to basics, go back to who you used to be, and it's all going to be, amazing from there on. But we have one more season, so hopefully they discover Sophia. I was almost sure, Jeremy. I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way they don't discover Sophia in the finale. There's no way she gets away with it. She got
No,
away with it.
no. I was very surprised that they are carrying this Sophia storyline over into the fifth and final season. I thought for sure this would come to an end in this finale, and she would either get discovered or she would just outright reveal herself. A nice, like, interesting kind of big reveal moment. And I think that was one thing that this finale was missing. That one big reveal moment. We didn't really get that. So yeah. I don't know. I guess they're saving a lot of big stuff for season 5. It looks like they're going to have to get through quite a lot. They have a lot of storylines to wrap up. They have a lot of mysteries they need to solve, a lot of answers they need to give, and they only have one season to do all of it. So that's a big task. That's a huge undertaking. I hope they're not biting off a little bit more than they can chew, and won't kind of come to regret maybe not giving a little bit more into season 4 instead of saving it all for season 5. But either way, I am looking forward to it. I think the fifth and final season will have a much more intense pace. I think it'll be going much faster, much more hard hitting. If they do have to get through all of this stuff, which they do, just naturally, it's going to be a much faster show in the fifth and final season. And that's exciting. I'm very forward to seeing that. If this is going to be a super intense final season, hell yeah, bring that on. Even if season 4 wasn't my favorite, I'm still very much looking forward to seeing season 5 and how they're ultimately going to wrap this story up as a whole. Because again, it's a story and a show that we've, all of us, all you guys in the chat up here, we've invested years of our lives into this story. So yeah, at the very least, you want to see an interesting and kind of satisfying conclusion to that story. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see, where is this 5th season going to take us? What is the difference in tone going to look like? How intense is it going to be? Who's going to live? Who's going to die? There's a lot of stuff to wrap up. And we'll see how well they can do it in the 5th and final season.
Yeah. And listen, we have invested years of our life, but it doesn't matter. Season 5 could end horribly, and the time that we have spent with you and with each other would still 100% be
Always
worth
worth
it.
it. Yeah.
100% be worth it. And it could be the worst season, okay? They could deliver an even worse season for season
Even
5.
worse.
I would still love it. I would still love the experience, okay? They
Yeah.
could have the Patty show the entire time. I would still love the fact that we got to spend time with you guys in the chat and with each other. I mean, I met my best friend. Like Jade says, Jeremy,
Yeah.
if I had to do this, I'm so glad that it was with you.
Absolutely. I 100% echo that sentiment. If I had to do this, I am very glad that it was with you and everyone, and each and every one of you in the chat. This has been such a fun ride. Such a fun ride. And of course, our other pal, Lord Ravener, who has been so awesome in holding down all of the watch parties in the Discord this year. Very much appreciate that. Yeah, this has been so fun. It's been such a fun season to cover. But by no means is the From coverage done here on the channel. The season finale has just arrived, and we are going to be dissecting every single frame of it over the next few days, over the next few weeks. The From Talk will continue. So after we've all had a chance to watch this episode for a second and third time, we will definitely be doing another stream on this either tomorrow or Monday night, the latest, where we dive even deeper into this finale and see what kind of stuff we can pick up on our second go around and our third go around that maybe we missed during the first initial viewing. So yeah, the conversation is not stopping here. It is just starting. Very much looking looking forward to seeing what else you guys come up with after watching the episode a few more times. What are we going to find? What kind of theories are we going to come up with heading into season 5? That's going to be really fun discussing. And of course, we also have House of the Dragon, which is premiering tomorrow. Episode 2 is premiering tomorrow. I will also be covering House of the Dragon here on the channel, along with our From content. And of course, Silo Season 3 is just around the corner as well. We've been getting so many requests to cover Silo, and that is something we will definitely be doing this season. So plenty of From content to still come, plenty of Silo content, and plenty of House of the Dragon, and whatever other good shows that are on the horizon that we all want to dive into together. But yeah, rest assured, the From discussion has only just begun. We are going to continue to dive into the heart of this finale and see if we can solve it together. But before we close out, let me get through these last few super chats. And again, big thank you to each and every one of you who sent in super chats tonight. You guys are absolute rock stars. We got Slimzo for $9.99. We didn't need Sophia doing the same sneaky stuff she's been doing in the past few episodes, walking around unnoticed. And again, this is a criticism we've heard from a lot of fans this season, where they just weren't a huge fan of the Sophia kind of sneaking around, and not so much not a fan of it, but a fan of how long it lasted. That's the comment that I see more than anything. Not that they didn't like the Sophia storyline, but that it just lasted a little bit too long. And I understand that. And I myself, agree to a certain extent. I feel like it did last a little too long at times. And I feel like she didn't really do like maximum amount of damage that I feel like she could have done. She's doing all this manipulation, and it didn't really amount to a whole lot of like actual damage that she did to the town or to people in it. It was all more kind of setting up damage to do later on. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is a sentiment that many people have shared in the comment section, so you're not alone. But yeah, I guess it'll be interesting to see how are they going to utilize Sophia in season 5. How much are we going to get?
Yes. Don't get me wrong, we love Sophia. We love the attitude. We love Sophia. She's doing a good job if we dislike her, because she's not supposed to be
Exactly.
a likable entity. However,
Yeah.
it felt like we're the children, right? This is how I felt. Like they dropped me off with Sophia and never picked me up. It's like, dude, mom, dad, where are you? I'm supposed to
Yes.
be hanging out with Boyd. That's my home, with the people in town, with Donna, any of the crew that I
The
have
man in
known since
yellow.
season 1. Okay, Men in Yellow. That's my family. I've known them since season 1. I'm comfortable with them. It's the main crew. You hired them. You're paying them for the season. I'm supposed to be hanging out with them, and it felt like they dropped me off with Sophia and never picked me up,
Yeah.
because we were like hanging out with her most of the time. I understand that, we needed to see what she was doing, but a lot of it was with Sophia, and things stopped being scary when you shove them down our face. She would
Yeah.
have been scarier if we didn't really get her vibe. If every time she was on screen like Boy in White, we had to hang on her every word. And
Mhm.
they dropped us off. That's how I felt, like a kid, like an orphan. I felt like they dropped me off there and they just never picked me up.
Yeah.
Even the finale, it ended on her point of view, on us going through what Sophia was doing.
That should have been the
And
man in yellow walking by the boy in white in that final scene.
it should have been the Man in Yellow, because the contrast would have been
Yeah.
visceral. He's
Yeah.
so young and he's in white. The Man in Yellow is filthy, dirty, and older. The contrast would have been like visceral, right? With Sophia, she's a gorgeous, beautiful young lady. He is a young man. The contrast is not there. But when you put the Man in Yellow, you could really see, oh, this is a nasty, nasty entity fighting against this poor little boy,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I think that you're 100% right. And then it would have been like, okay, that's epic. And it would have given us the idea that maybe Doug is back for season
Is
5.
back. Yeah.
But
Mhm.
that's how I felt. I felt like an orphan. I felt like I was
Yeah.
hanging out with my family the entire time, season 1, 2, and 3. And then you dropped me off with Sophia, the babysitter, and you never picked me up.
Mhm. It does. It's you're waiting for the man in yellow to pick you up all season, but he just doesn't show up. His car broke down the road, and he just couldn't make it. Is the feeling that you kind of get? Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. But yeah, no, I think that just would have been a very interesting final scene. Not only would it have been cool to see the man in yellow and the boy in white interacting together with their two very different personalities, but yes, it would have created that very kind of striking image, the context of seeing the man in the yellow suit and the boy in white side by side walking through the forest. That imagery alone, in and of itself, is worth having, the Doug version be there instead of the Sophia version. But yeah, I know I might be a bit of a nitpick, but I think that scene would have played much better if it was the man in yellow and the boy in white walking away. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Doug, or maybe even its real form. Yeah. Are we going to find out like this thing has one true original real form, and the man in yellow and all of these other forms are just previous people that have died in Fromville? Even that would have been pretty interesting. But yeah, I hope, if nothing else, we get a full-on proper origin story for the man in yellow in season 5. I was hoping to get it this season when they introduced this character in such a big way. You kind of were hoping when we get into season 4, we're going to find out exactly who this character is and where he came from, but we didn't get that. So yeah, the answers, the finale was definitely answers light. We did get some answers though. I'm definitely not going to sit up here and say we didn't get any. We definitely got answers, not only in the finale, but throughout the whole season, and some pretty good ones. But yeah, on the other hand, they are also saving a lot for the 5th and final season. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the true origin of the man in yellow really is. We shall see. We shall see. But yeah, there we go, folks. That is going to do it for us tonight. I am going to get ready to shut this down and get some rest. It is 5:30 in the a.m. over here, but we wanted to make sure we did a deep dive initially into this finale and cover as much of it as we possibly could. But this is far from the only discussion that we will be having on the finale. So I hope to see each and every one of you guys at part 2 for the episode 10 breakdown. After we've all had a chance to maybe watch the episode another time or two, either tomorrow or the next day, I will definitely be doing another stream. And of course, I'll have my episode 10 regular video breakdown up soon as well. But there we go, folks. Episode 4 is season 4, excuse me, is in the books, and now we look forward to season 5 and theorizing on, folks, and we will see each and every one of you on the next one. Cheers.
Okay, ding dongs. If you don't subscribe to Jeremy Ice and Fire, you're gonna spend the night in the box.
Aren't Cooey.